So, and here we are. You guys, welcome to the surge. I hope the soul surge, quite different from your regular surge. I hope that leading up to right now, right this moment, you have energy, you have excitement, you have an open mind, and you have an open heart, ready to absorb everything that we're going to share tonight. Let me just get my computer all set up. I actually wrote my introduction. I never do that. And the reason why I wrote it is because I wanted to get it right. I didn't want to screw this up because tonight really is a special night, not only for Diesel Nation, because we're the ones hosting this amazing, beautiful event, but for all the teams that are joining us tonight. So let's hear it for Team Drop the Cookie. Let's heart these teams on. You guys, comments in the chat. We have the elite mastermind on this Soul Surge. All our coaches from Miguel Carrasco, Andrea Crowder, Melanie Mitchell, Alyssa Schumacher, and Melanie Mitchell's team are here. So thank you guys for joining us. We really hope that this event lights that fire again into your soul so that we can freaking change the world. So I'm going to start reading now, if you don't mind. Welcome to the Soul Surge. This is a 3-hour event aimed to inject the soul into your Beachbody coaching experience, because that's what it is. It's an experience. I'm Christina Delgado. I'm a superstar diamond, 5-time elite coach, yada, 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 and I'll be your host tonight. 6.5 years ago, my sister introduced me to this amazing company called Beachbody, and I had no idea what would come of it. I had not one skill that I know now would be pretty good to have in order to grow this business. I was skeptical, negative, rejected the idea of personal development, had no social media skills, no real human skills. As a trained lawyer, I was not the most trusting or even vulnerable person in the world either. What I did know when I started to gain traction was that without people, this business did not exist. And without belief and vision of success, it would not thrive. The beginning of my business wasn't stellar or noteworthy, but it did begin by simply connecting with people, my family, friends, and coworkers, and I became a collector of success stories. People like Wendy Sanchez, who, because of Shakeology, was able to come off IBS medications. Numerous women like Monica Lopez, Vanessa Casulo, Amy Coppola, who regained their self-confidence after having children. And I can go on for the next 3 hours giving you examples of stories like that. I'm staring at Mindy Horde. She's one of them too. Back then, people were not numbers or statistics. Their experiences is what drove us. When our team was small, I could literally rattle off the soulmate program of each coach in my downline. Whether it was Turbo Fire or P90X or Les Mills Pump, I knew what program lit the fire in your soul. People were not a sale. We ruled our businesses by one single phrase: help everyone, expect nothing in return. And another favorite: your success will be directly correlated by the amount of lives that you change. Somewhere, somehow, the lines became a little bit fuzzy. While the organizations grew and the network quadrupled in size, the human component to our success began to become less clear and a little bit less powerful. Success seemed to elude those who lost sight of their why and their purpose. Tonight, we stop that dead in its tracks. Tonight, we get back to our roots, the roots that solidified this company as the most different and unique network marketing company in the world. We are different, and we must protect why we do what we do. I mean, come on, guys. What other opportunity can offer you multifaceted success like this one? I can't find one other than Beachbody. You can succeed in health and fitness. You can succeed by being part of a community. You can succeed by traveling to places you've never traveled before. You can succeed by gaining support that you lack in your life. You succeed by gaining freedom of time and freedom of choice. And you can succeed by gaining wealth. And you can succeed by gaining security in an insecure world. Some companies may come close, but they truly can't compare to the mission that we are on. And with this opportunity, you can find success in one of the lists I just rattled off, or all of it. It's all for the taking. You can come into this opportunity with small goals or big ones. You can come into this opportunity for community and nothing else. You may need Beachbody to set your family financially free. I don't know why you are here, but know this, that you are here for a reason, an important one. Believe in that and let that soak into your heart tonight. Tonight, we're not talking about how to be a coach or even how to sell a challenge pack. Tonight, we're going to share the power of human connection, how one person, one coach can fundamentally impact the life of another human being, the why behind why we coach. You will hear from Diesel Nation coaches, whoop, whoop, Suzanne Santi, Ada Gonzalez, Jamie Hunt, and Robin Peacock. And I will not spoil their stories for you, but underlining what they will share with you tonight is that you have to appreciate that it was this opportunity and not any other that set them free, whether it was physically or financially. That it was this opportunity that allowed one person to connect with another to get that ball rolling. Never underestimate that power. And we will close the call with an hour presentation from one of my first mentors in the business, Craig Holliday. He doesn't even know that he was my mentor, but he is. I will never forget the power of the first presentation I ever heard him deliver at our Atlantis Success Club trip. Ever will I forget that moment. And when Monica Lopez aptly called this event the Soul Surge when this idea was born, the first person that came to mind to make this event perfect was Craig. And we're going to deliver that gift to you tonight. So we have a jam-packed schedule, guys. We have success stories to get to, and Amy Coppola is going to be sharing nuggets about, well, I'm not going to spoil all that either. I'm just going to let her deliver that message. But up first, Robin, I hope you are ready. I'm going to turn over the microphone to Mindy Horde, three-time elite coach, leader of Diesel Nation, powerhouse inspiration, who's going to help facilitate the sharing of Robin Peacock's success story. Mindy?
Hey everyone, the joys of working from home. My husband just started mowing outside, so I hope that you can hear me. So Robin and I have been friends since we were kids, and I think many of you understand on social media that usually is the first thing we find is old schoolmates, people that we know. And we had connected on Facebook, and it was the typical thing. You find somebody on Facebook when you join, you talk to them, you figure out what they're doing, and then they just become a number on your Facebook page. She is somebody that got to see my transformation unfold from day one. In fact, she was one of my very first customers. What I didn't realize was the pain that she was silently struggling with. And there were some things that she's going to share about her story that really highlight the ups and downs of coaching and really trying to understand what goes on that you can't see from social media and that some people are not ready to tell you. But I wanted to just introduce one of my best friends and somebody that I'm so thankful that she came back into my life, not just through Facebook, but through this opportunity. And because of that I have been able to introduce her to Christina and to Becky and everybody on our team, the people that she would have never known. And it brings tears to my eyes when I just think of these bonds that are formed and how we just continuously keep adding people to our family who are just so close. So I'm going to turn it over to Robin so she can give you her story.
Hi, everybody. I am beyond honored to be a part of this call tonight. This was something that I had marked on my calendar that I couldn't wait to watch, and then I was told that I get to be a part of it. And Mindy knows that I am not a crier, and Christina, during your opening, it was like tears were starting to come, and I was like, no, I gotta speak in a minute. So Mindy and I have been friends since childhood. She remembers things about me that I forgot, and that's the way that usually goes, right? And we reconnected on Facebook and had some interaction initially, and then just kind of went silent, and the way that most people do. And what Mindy didn't know is she knew that I'd had a hard childhood. My mother was diagnosed with ovarian cancer when I was 8 years old, and she went in and out of remission and battled that until I was 18, and she passed away. And my whole entire family fell apart at that time. My life got turned upside down. And ever since then, I was just struggling to find something, find a way to belong, and find a way to feel like I mattered to somebody, because your mom is that person that you matter to the most, right? So throughout my early 20s, I really struggled, and I wasn't finding what I needed, so I built up a wall. And I kept that wall really high and really tight, even to my husband, that he's an amazing man. And even for him, it was hard to get through. So, but we decided we were going to start a family when I was in 29, my late 20s. And I was pregnant, like right off the bat, so excited about it. And then I had a stillbirth at 26 weeks, and I lost my son. It was difficult is not even the word to begin to describe what happened. It was probably the most painful thing I'd been through, and it opened up all those wounds of losing my mother that I thought I had really healed. I hadn't. And during that pregnancy, I gained 80 pounds. I'd always been the skinny fat person. Everybody that knew me back home, we grew up in a small town, so everybody knew everybody. Everybody that knew us knew me as the skinny girl, and I didn't want anyone to see me on Facebook or real life or anywhere the way that I looked, because I didn't feel good. I felt sad, depressed, angry, bitter, and just done with life. I was 29 years old, and I did not want to live life anymore. I just wanted to skate by until it was over and never have an impact on anyone or have anything happen to me, because I couldn't take anymore. So when Mindy and I reconnected around 2012, she didn't know this interim part of my story. And it was very hard for me to talk about at that time. And even sharing this with you tonight, Mindy and I talked about whether I should share all these parts of my story, because my first thing is and I got this from my mom, like, I don't want to make anybody sad. I want to make them happy. I want to make them enjoy their life. And if you had known me during all of that time before I got reconnected with Mindy, and a few years after that, you would think I was a happy, fun, happy person, because I hid everything really well. I was forced to go to work, and I was forced to do the things that normal adults have to do to get by in the world. And I had to put up this front, and it's something I had been doing since childhood. So she didn't know all this pain that I was in, but I reached out to her when I saw her now infamous picture of her holding her business pants out, and I was like, oh my God, maybe she can help me, because nothing I have been trying on my own has been working. And I knew that I needed to change, because in my early 30s, I was already having knee pain and hip pain, and I was winded just walking up a flight of stairs. And I couldn't go on a hike. I couldn't go skiing. I couldn't do things with my husband when we got invited to go places, because I was physically unable to, but I was emotionally unable to also. I just wanted to stay home and hide from the world, because I didn't want anyone to have the chance to hurt me ever. So I initially ordered a bag of Shakeology from Mindy, and I thought, this is going to be it. I can do it. But I didn't really believe yet that I could inside. I thought I did, but I wasn't working on the inner part of me to make that happen. So I returned my first bag, and then I didn't talk to her for like 2 years. And I pushed her away because I saw her being happy and having success. And it was something I wanted, and I didn't think I could do, and I didn't think it could be mine. So I just wanted to hide from her. And this is somebody I had been best friends with for 15, 18 years growing up. So fast forward a couple years later, I see that she's posting about PIO, and I think, okay, I think I can really do this one. I couldn't do P90X. I couldn't do Insanity. I was 200 pounds at that point, and there was no way that I was going to be able to do that. So I ordered PIO, and I ordered my challenge pack, and I ordered it as a coach. And then I messaged Mindy, and she was at Summit, and she was like, what? I haven't heard from you in so long. And now all of a sudden you've signed up as a coach in order to challenge pack? Like, that's crazy. And so I really hit the ground running at that point. I fell in love with PIO. It helped me I lost maybe like 10 or 15 pounds. I got a little bit more of my confidence back because Mindy started to introduce me to the whole coaching lifestyle and what it really meant. And it wasn't something that I had asked about or tried to engage with before in 2012. And it is exactly what changed. And so then I was going great through the end of 2014 and completely fell apart in 2015. It was not a good year for either of us. And I don't really have a reason why, other than I really don't know. I just kind of blew up. So all of 2015 goes by, and I'm still not talking to Mindy, except for not about Beachbody, but I'm talking to her just as a friend, and we're staying in touch. But we're both struggling and going through things and not really able to have what we have now. Then my husband and I decided after 7 years, we want to try again to have a child. So we go to the doctor and have all the tests done. And the only thing that the doctors can say to me is, well, you're 213 pounds, you're 5'4", your weight could be a factor in getting pregnant because we can't find anything else wrong with you, either one of you. So that was really the kick in the pants that I said, okay, Mindy, I need help. And I came running right back because the entire time that I had been falling apart and she had been falling apart, she was still loving me and I was still loving her. I hadn't been fully open to it, but I knew that she had the answers and I knew that she would be able to help me. And I'm sharing all of this because you need to understand that I ran away from my best friend. I ran away from her. And because she continued that relationship that Christina was talking about in the opening, that is what made me know that it was a safe place for me to come to. So I got started again on my own journey. I had never canceled my coaching account. I had been on and off Shakeology in 2015. I got right back on it. I followed the meal plan. I followed the programs. I trusted Mindy. I trusted the process. And most importantly, I got involved with my challenge groups. I got involved with my team. I got on these team calls. I reached out to people who were having the same kind of struggles that I had. And I started personal development like there is no freaking tomorrow. There is nothing in this world that will stop me from doing personal development for the rest of my life. And it is a gift that has been given to me because of Beachbody. The Fit Fam that we have is a gift that I have received because of Beachbody. And because I did all of those things, it really made it possible for me to understand what was available to me and what I could achieve in my life. So I got to push all of those doubts and fears and resentment and anger aside because I invested in myself and I kept going with it. And that is all about the relationship that we have here. I got to go to Tony Robbins last year with Mindy. It was an incredible experience. We're going again in 2 weeks. And it's one of those things where you think, when I first heard personal development, I was like, no, but it is amazing. When I first heard Shakeology, I was like, no, but it's amazing. When I first heard coaching, no, I can't do that. So I'm just beyond honored to be able to share this whole story with you. And I have so much passion and excitement for it. I could talk for the next 3 hours about it. So I want you to really understand that this family is going to have ups and downs because you're never going to know what's going on in someone else's life and what is holding them back from what you see their potential to be. And the best thing you can do is just keep loving them and showing them that they are deserving of love. So I'll turn it back over to you, Mindy.
Thanks, Robin, for sharing. I'll just add before I hand it back to Christine is that, that's the biggest thing. It's developing these friendships with people that you may want what's best for them in the business opportunity, may give them everything they need, but it may just not be the right time. And so I always, encourage my coaches to do what I do. And it's always friendship over business. And, if people are having a hard time, plug them into personal development. I felt the same way about personal development until I stumbled across Craig Holiday, and he's what turned me into a believer of personal development. And I do believe if I didn't find him, I wouldn't be here, and neither would Robin or so many other people on our team who've had great success stories. So thank you for sharing that, Robin.
Yeah, it's been pretty amazing to have this experience together. And now our friendship is a billion times better than I ever could imagine it would be. And we talk to each other every single day. And what an incredible gift that is, because it's not just liking a meme that you shared, it's our actual lives and our actual stories. And so we're now here sharing a gift with the world, this gift that is just so incredible. And I mean, when Mindy asked me to talk about what it's changed for me, I don't even know how to put it into words, because I was existing before and now I'm really living. And as of today, I'm down 47 pounds from last February. It's been a freaking miracle for me. I have tried everything, you guys, everything. And so it's just, to be able to do this with your best friends, freaking priceless.
All right, we are off to a running start. You guys, that was an amazing share, Robin and Mindy. And because it's a little bit under the time allotment, I just want to add something about not only the connection that you guys have, but I had commented in the chat and I said, note to self, never give up on people. And that is, it really highlights what I said at the beginning about that human connection about this business that makes it different from other businesses. And if you can have that standard as you go on with your life, primarily your life, and then you inject that into your business, just look at the impact between Robin and Mindy. It is not just Mindy impacting Robin, because Robin has breathed life into Mindy. And there's that connection that you cannot penetrate. And while, yes, there's people that will come and go into this business, when you can create that kind of bond, there's nothing ever that can break that. So that is what should be the focus. And I hope you guys have, the message has been heard loud and clear that that's what we're trying to do here tonight. And for the teams that are outside of Diesel Nation, just want to highlight how Mindy, Robin had said 2015 was a very hard year for them both. You know, Mindy had a lot of challenges in 2015, yet was able to not only get past, heal, and move on, but was able to come back as a 2017 elite coach. So while there might be times in your business, that you say, this isn't worth it, this is too hard, I cannot do this, that will happen. Remember that this opportunity gives life, like Robin just said, so never ever give up on that, because you can come back. You can be the comeback kid like Mindy is, and you can absolutely change your life with this opportunity. So now I'm going to hand it over to Miss Walking Personal Development, Amy Coppola. She is also a Diesel Nation leader who has made it almost her life's mission to become a student of personal development. Every time I open up Facebook, she's at the airport heading to some event. And you know what? It correlates. It not only correlates to business success, but it also correlates to personal life and parenting success. So with that, Amy, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. It's pretty loud in here. Everybody stand up, go on, get up. Pretend like I can see you. Come on, panelists. I see you. I know we just started sitting, but I want you guys, this is going to be a long night. This is going to be an awesome night. And you know what? We have to keep the energy up all night long, yeah? So come on, every time between everybody, a little dance, a little something. We got to keep it up. Celebrate. This is like the best freaking possible scenario you could ever be in. Who needs Grey's Anatomy crying? I won't make you dance forever. Just 2 minutes. It's not about what you've done, it's about what you're doing. It's all about where you're going, no matter where you've been. Here we go! Let's go. Tell me you don't feel awesome. I know you do. I know you do. I know you do. All right, guys. Whoa. Okay. So feel better, yeah? All right, let's do that between everybody because we're going to keep the energy up tonight. This is a long night, and you don't ever want to be in a state that you don't feel freaking awesome. And absorbing all of this energy, all this positivity, I mean, this is something that's really special. I have never in my career, and I've been working since I was 15, been able to be on a work call like this. Has anybody? Anybody? No, right? This is what we do, guys. This is amazing. And I am going to talk to you really quickly about events. So I'm not going to share my story too much tonight. You might get a little tidbit here and there. Most of you probably already know it, but just to recap it for you, I came to Beachbody. I did accounting for a long time. Can you imagine this lady in a cube? No. I did it though. I was very successful. I did it for 13 years, primarily because I'm a hard-working, detail-oriented person. Julia, you're cracking up. And work. I work. And so what happens when you work? You can be successful in pretty much anything, right? So I fell into accounting. I did great with it. I built myself a 6-star prison, 5-star prison, whatever it is, where the money's good, but you're not feeding your soul. You don't feel good about what you're doing every day when you get up. You have the Monday blues. You have the Sunday night blues. You have the every other day blues. You have to drink coffee every 10 minutes because you're bored as heck sitting at your desk, right? And, you know, luckily, because I have learned that it was very, very fortunate, I came to a point that I went, had my babies, and got laid off. And so I got to spend, not unfortunately, unplanningly, is that a word? Unplanned a bit of time at home. And during that time, I was going through financial issues. I was going through marital issues. I had just had a little baby, my baby girl, Angelina. She's got even more energy than me, so imagine the two of us in a house. And I lost myself. I had no idea who I was. I had no idea what was going to become of the rest of my life. All I knew is I was miserable. And I specifically remember one day going out on a run with my friend because I started running because that's all I could afford. That's all I could do, so I thought. And I was out running with her, and I specifically remember telling her, well, you know, I'm already in my 30s. The only thing on my resume is accounting. And you know what? I better just get used to this. This is going to be my life. Have any of you ever said that to yourselves? Or some of you maybe even saying that to yourselves right now? Because that's baloney. I'm keeping it PG tonight, guys, just in case. But you know what that is. It's a big BS, okay? And that is something that, looking back now, I feel devastated for myself that I ever got to that place, but I'm also thankful because you know what happened when I got to that place? That's what they call rock bottom, right? And who would have known? I mean, I still learned, I'm Amy. I know how to put a smile on my face no matter what. And so I'd walk around with that smile on my face, but I can tell you what, it was empty on the inside and it did not feel good. And, you know, I didn't know what was going to come next. Everything felt like it was spiraling out of control. I felt like I was in the ocean with the wave knocking me down, 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 down. And it was all I could do to just keep my breath. And I had to do that for my babies. And I had to do that because no matter what, I was going to be there for them. And it didn't matter what I had to do that, but I was going to be okay for them. But I was a martyr. I thought everything was for them now. There's so many things in here, guys. And so many moms think that, you know, I can't take care of myself because I need to take care of my babies. And yet in an airplane, every single time you're in an airplane, what do they say? When the oxygen mask comes down, who do you need to put it on? Yourself. Because when you're dead, how are you going to take care of anybody else? You're not. Okay? Or you're going to show them a really crappy example. And that's where I was at. And I finally found Beachbody. Well, I found it a long time ago. I'm a stubborn horse, stubborn mule. I watched Becky for an entire year. And the other day at the seminar that I was at this weekend, Eric Worre, the author of GoPro, it was his seminar, and he had everybody stand up. And it was cool because he did this, and he said, oh, I need all my 6-figure earners to stand up. And let me tell you, network marketing, lots of 6-figure earners. How cool is that, number one? all the six-figure earners stand up. And he said, okay, if you joined your company on the first time you were invited, please sit down. Not too many people sat down. If you joined your company on the second time when you were invited, please sit down. Maybe one or two people sat down. There were numerous people that it was the 5th, the 6th, the 7th. For me, I think I'm estimating, because it was over a year, the 8th or 9th try that Becky came back and checked in on me, that I finally said, yes, fine, I'll try it. And only because you're on stage with Tony Horton in Las Vegas and I'm home running in circles still feeling fat. Like, you know, something had to give. So I did it. I finally tried P90X2, right? And what happened? My world is spinning apart. Everything's crapping around me. And all of a sudden, I feel this little thing inside of me that says, you can control your health. You can't control your ex right now, your husband. I hardly can call him that. You can't control your husband right now. You can't control your finances right now. I wasn't in a position to do that. You can't control things, but you can control your health. And so with that, I started controlling my health, and I started realizing I can do more. And I can share this, and it's fun. And I'm not going to spend the whole time I have on my story. But guys, it was one thing after another after another. And you know what happened after that first year? I became a diamond coach very quick, because I knew the divorce was on the horizon. And I also knew that there was a Success Club trip that I could earn for free to take my babies to Disney World. They were 3 and 6 at the time, and they hadn't been to Disney World in a few years because Mama was broke. You know, I had gone back to school. I had done everything, because no matter what, I was going to survive. But I wanted to take those kids to Disney World. I wanted to stay at the yacht club. This wasn't Disney World that you go sleep on your sister's couch. Thank you. I love my sister's couch. But this was the yacht club, guys. This was, your tickets are paid. I will never, I'm going to cry a little bit. No, I'm not. Hold it together. The last night of that trip, my mom came. She brought my kids up. And the last night of that trip, the closing party, because we don't do things half-hearted at Beachbody events. They do it big. They take care of you like you are gold, because you are. And that last night at the Epcot trip, at the Epcot closing party, they take all, however many hundred of us, somehow, some way, they herd us all into this private VIP area on the lake. They open these coolers. I swear, maybe it's better in my mind than it was, but I'm pretty sure it was amazing. They open these coolers, and like all the, you know, cold smoke comes out with as many Mickey Mouse ice cream bars as you could possibly eat. And my kids' eyeballs are this big, and I'm just like, Mickey Mouse ice cream. And they give us little glasses, and we're looking at these glasses at the fireworks, because we had our own private viewing of the fireworks, and they have Beachbody fireworks coming out everywhere because of the 3D glasses. Guys, it was amazing. And I was only a diamond, and I didn't realize the income potential at the time. But I knew at that trip, because of talking to people, because of talking to our upline Jason Dybel, that there was an income potential. And I came home from that event, and I started saying, I'm going to do this. This fills my heart. This makes me feel good. This makes other people get better. How much cooler of a thing can I do with my life? None, nothing. This is it. And I knew it was not going to happen overnight, but I knew that I could do. I'm a hard worker. I work. And you're telling me that this guys, this is my work? Sign me up forever and ever. Amen. I'm a marathoner of Beachbody forever. And guys, it was not easy. Nobody's going to tell you if it's easy. If they tell you it was easy, tell them they're liars. And you don't care if it's not going to be easy, because you're going to do it. And the next thing that came up after that was Summit. Summit, I was like, well, I don't think I can go to that. You know, I'm a single mom. I'm still not making that much money. I can't get to Vegas and leave my kids and leave my job and my school, because I'd gone back to school. I can't do all that. And at the last minute, a little bit because of FOMO. Who knows what FOMO is? Fear of missing out? A little bit because of FOMO. I don't know if she's on the call tonight. Idet tells me, you could stay in my room for free. We've got a bunch of girls, but you can stay in my room. And I went to that summit, and life will never be the same again. We heard that summit from John Maxwell. I spent time with our family, our team family. I heard everybody's stories of success. I was a little diamond coach, but I knew that this was for me. I knew it. And I left that event
so alive. I came home and I did not look back. Nope, this is it. We're going. Everybody on board. We're going. I remember that event, Dave Ward, our up line, sat down with us. Do you remember, Chris? In the bar that first night, I had just flown in. I didn't even really know who he was. I was like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? He's really important because he's talking to Christy and Becky. And he comes up and he says, well, what about you? What do you want? And I told him, I want nice shoes. I'm not a big shoe person, not sure why I said it. I want nice shoes, and I want to take my kids on trips, and I want to have this, and I want to have that. And I knew exactly what I wanted. And after that came out of my mouth, I thought, for the first time in my life, I know what I want. And I felt good to actually have connected with myself, to know enough about me, enough about where I wanted to go, where I wanted to take my family, that this could be done. That was amazing, guys. And that was my first event besides the Success Club trip with Summit. If you don't have your ticket to Summit, you need to get there. You're not in the hotel room more than 7 hours a night to sleep. That's it. 6, 7 people in a room if you need to. You need to get there. You need to be amongst your team. You need to be amongst the super trainers. You need to feel the energy of what happens at Summit. After Summit, we're going to keep going a little bit longer. How am I doing on time? After Summit, the next event that I went to was my very first personal development event. I went to Danny Johnson, First Steps to Success, again with Idette. And that time, I think I got to pay for the hotel room. And I said, Idette, you're staying with me. How cool is that? And we got to sit there and hear from Danny Johnson. And there was a lot of pain, guys. I've been through some not fun stuff. And there was a lot of pain in there. And it wasn't stopping me at the moment, but there comes a point when you're becoming a leader, when you're building a team, when you're bringing people on board and saying, follow me, when you're raising your children as a single mother, when you're raising your children as a married mother, there comes a point that you need to become a better version of you. And that doesn't just stop at whatever version you become. You don't settle with mediocrity. You don't settle with, we'll get by. These resources to you, hold on. These resources are a tax write-off. Let's go. You can go to these events and write them off because these are continuing education, guys. And not only that, but you are improving the quality of your life. You're improving the quality of your children's lives, your family's life, and your team. Everybody around you is going to be a better person if you get better. It starts with you. Okay, and when you start leading a team and you say, I don't know what's happening. Why can't I get them to do this? Well, I'm sorry, are you doing it? When they get on the calls, do they see your face on the call? When they go to these events, do they see you? Do you go to Super Saturday? Do you go pick them up to take them to Super Saturday? Christy had her big aha moment into coaching at a Super Saturday. Imagine if Christy hadn't gone to that Super Saturday, how many of you would not be here tonight? Lots. Okay. And this is just, a few examples, but you know what? Personal development, it's a lot like brushing your teeth. And you may have heard that before because we use it often, but it's so true. You don't just brush your teeth once and say, I'm good for the year. That'd be disgusting, right? Your teeth would eventually fall out. Nobody'd want to be friends with you. And it's the same thing for personal development. You do it, but then you know what? You got to renew yourself all the time. It doesn't just stop. And bad things aren't going to just stop happening to you. I'll tell you now. I'll tell you. They don't stop. And people, on the contrary, might even get more bitter with you. People might hate on you even more. People might even try to pull you back down because they see you rising. And that's messed up, but guys, it's life. And you know what's going to protect you? Is personal development. It's getting to these events. And the better that you can be, it's like your armor. It's like you're invisible. Like I live in a cylinder of freaking happy and glitter because of this. And that's why I go at least 3 to 4 times a year. It is in my budget now. Now that I get to have a nice expense budget, it is in my budget to go every year to at least 3 or 4 events. This year I'm going huge because it's my 39th birthday and Mama's going to freaking Fiji with Tony Robbins in August for her birthday. Yeah. And you want to know what? I have no doubt that if I hadn't engaged and hadn't kept going to all these events, that I would be able to have the success that I've had in order to go to Fiji this year for my birthday. But it's not something that stops. You have to keep going and going and going and going. And the importance of this event, so just to touch really quick and I'll finish. The importance of this event, I'll just tell you, since I'm fresh off of, I went to Eric Worre's Most Powerful Women in Network event, Most Powerful Women in Networking event this past weekend. So this is Eric Worre. He does GoPro. He wrote GoPro. This is an event with all types of network marketing companies. So this was a cool event for me because Tony Robbins, I love to pieces. Definitely my you can't call him your guru. That's the name of his movie. I'm not your guru. But he's definitely been my mentor and my biggest life-changing figure in person. And Eric Worre was cool, but that's very much personal. Eric Worre was cool because this was very much business, all about network marketing. So you had there Mary Kay, Lulu, like every single thing you can think of. And it was really neat. Nobody's allowed to say where they're from. You can't wear logos. I had to pull the Beachbody sticker off my laptop one day. But it's cool because it provides a sacred space where you can talk about our profession. Because remember, guys, that this is a profession. And there was lots of amazing content that came out of there. But one thing that I did not go without noticing is that every presenter that got up on stage, every panelist, when they did a big giant panel, they did a mompreneur panel, how cool is that? Every single person that got up there, you know, the two things that I noticed from every single one of them, hugely successful. And some of them had been in the business industry 2 years, some of them 20 years. And it blew my mind to think about 20 years from now, how freaking cool this is gonna be. But one thing that stood out to me above everything was their confidence. Their confidence, it was like if you shot a bullet at them, it would have shot back at you because it would have been bing. They had confidence that did not quit, and energy. And that just draws people to them because when they're standing up there and you're almost not sure if you want to look because it's kind of like a train wreck, but at the same time, they just have so much energy that you feel it coming off of them. And they have had huge success, but they didn't get confident by sitting at home and not failing. They didn't get confident by sitting at home and not attending these events where they could understand that this is a profession. This is something that you should be so excited about. Is it network marketing? Oh, is this a multi-level marketing? Yes, it is. And I'm so happy to be the one who introduces you to this. This is the most amazing business model that there is. This is the way of the future. Guys, the way everything is changing, this is it. We are it. And we are so freaking lucky to be in the forefront of it. So if you still have that feeling, and it's okay if you do, if you're new, it's fine, that, they're going to ask me if it's a pyramid scheme. Tell them that their freaking company is a pyramid with the CEO at the top. And you're going to get more confident by going to events like this. By understanding how this all works, by understanding the power of what we do, by understanding that our business model is the solution to the world that we live in today. And be proud of that. Be confident with what you're saying. And in the meantime, events, get there. Be the person that goes first. Be the person that brings everybody from the team and shoves them all in a room. Just do it. Just if you want to see your business soar, if you want to keep your business soaring, you need to be there. I'm quit talking 1 minute early.
Thank you, Amy. And thank you for your amazing, incredible energy. I just want to share one thing before I turn it over to Monica, which I have to right away. But it's a story that you made me remember as you were sharing. And it was one of my big moments at Disney. And you know, because you were standing with me, I think Mindy might have been there too. And I got caught in the hallway by Jason Diebold.
I remember.
He's literally standing in front of me and he's like yelling at me, but what do you want? What do you want? And I'm like literally bawling. And I'm like, I don't know what I want. I don't know. And it was like for the first time someone was tapping into my ego, like saying, wake up. Wake up. You can do this and you can live this dream-free, incredible life if you just wake up. And I didn't get it right then and there, but I did get it eventually. And I will tell you that I wouldn't have experienced that, and then I wouldn't have experienced the big moment if it wasn't for another event that I attended, which was, a lot of you were there too if you're in South Florida. It was Leanne Ruff's time management training. You remember when she was going around the country doing that? And it was when she hit me, and it was when I first had my realization, like, yeah, you got to get home.
I remember that.
You got to work to get home. And so you guys, if Amy did anything tonight, it was stress on you that the success of your business has a direct correlation on the strength of your mindset, the growth of your soul and your thinking and your vision, and that all comes from outside training, from personal development books and events. Do not underestimate that. I said yesterday on a call, my first event was Danny Johnson as well, because Mindy introduced me to that event, and I was probably earning a good $200-300 a week then with Beachbody. And it was this consistent effort to sacrifice and go to these events that correlated to income increases in my business, because you come back different. You come back a different person with more skills, with more fire, with more passion, with more intent to change people's lives. So never underestimate the power of live events. And now, thank you, Amy. I appreciate that.
And
And
one more really quick thing.
Yeah.
I have one more really quick thing. I know a lot of times that I hear people say, I don't want to leave my children. I didn't sign up to do Beachbody to leave my children. Guys, your children are going to witness you becoming more resilient. They're going to witness you becoming a stronger version of you. They're going to witness the incredible growth that you have. Leaving them for a weekend is not going to kill them. On the contrary, you staying stuck in a crappy position is detrimental to them. So don't use your children as an excuse. Use them as the reason why you invest time, why you invest earnings from your business to plug back into getting to these events and propelling yourself forward. I'll stop now.
All right, I'm going to turn this over to Monica Lopez, who, by the way, as I noted at the beginning of this call, was the one that named this event. We were kind of chatting with the leaders of Diesel Nation, and I was like, we need something. We need an event. We need power. We need stories. Where she goes, Soul Surge. I'm like, yes! You know, it was like perfect. So Monica Lopez is the creator of the Soul Surge. And so I'm going to turn it over to her to share a very, very inspiring story with you. I won't ruin it, but Monica, I want you to take it over and share $8 with us.
All right, guys. I don't know about you guys, but after hearing Amy and her fire, I just want to go drink Shakeology, do a workout, and message 50 people all at once. Like, I just want to work my business after all of that. Thank you for that, Amy. So far, you know, Soul Surge is living up to his name. I don't know about you guys, but I feel on fire. Like, I feel those goosebumps that I felt when I first started my business, when I first sat in an audience and I heard people tell their story, and I saw myself in their story. I felt it with them, and I was like, if they can, why can't I? Like, why not me? And so I hope you're saying that to yourself tonight so far. I hope you're saying, why not me? Me too, okay? There's something that Amy said, and right as she said it, I saw my guest tonight that I'm going to be announcing to you guys right now. I saw Ada. Like, as soon as Amy said that, Ada's mouth, you know, went from here to here, her smile, and she nodded her head. And I kind of saw her light up. And that's when Amy said, this makes people get better. This makes people get better, because that ties so much into Ada's story. And I'm not going to say a word more about it. I want you guys to hear from her. So Ada, unmute yourself and say hi to everybody.
Hello, everybody. I am so honored to have been chosen to tell my story. I'm rather new to the Beachbody business, but it has totally changed my life because it has seriously saved my life. So a little bit about my story. When I was 3 years old, I was diagnosed with a very rare lung disease. It's got a crazy name. I'll just say it's IPH, and it's bleeding of the lungs. The doctors told my parents that I was not going to make it past 12 years old. But you know what? Doctors say crazy things every day, and you just take it with a grain of salt and you keep going. So I had a few close calls growing up. There's me, a picture of me when I was about the age I was diagnosed. And you can imagine finding out from my parents, it was just a heartbreak. If you ever found out that your child, 3 years old, has something so serious and the doctors are telling you, well, your kid's not going to make it past 12, it's very scary. Well, they were wrong. I made it to 12. I made it to 16, 17. I had quite a scare in my teenager years, but hey, I kept going. And why did I keep going? Because honestly, I didn't thought there was no way I could keep going. I just like, okay, well, I'll get better and this will just pass. This will just pass. At the age of 21 was the last time I really, really got sick. After that, I was on remission for a good 15 years. I met my husband. I wasn't in 100% best shape of my life because I always had the issues with the lungs. But honestly, when he met me, he was like, oh, I didn't feel like you had anything. We would go to Universal Studios and run from one side of the park to the other one if it was raining or whatnot. So honestly, it felt like I had nothing. After I had my third child, because yes, got married, I had 3 kids, had one young as a single mommy. I had my son when I was 19. But after I had my third child, my miracle child, Allie, I found out pregnant that all the lung issues had actually caused a major issue with my heart. So here comes another adventure. I sat down and the doctor proceeded to explain to me that I was going to have to wear a pump attached to my port in my chest for the rest of my life. And I was like, the rest of my life? She's like, the rest of your life. Well, when you hear something like that, you're like, what? How am I going to do this? I mean, at that moment, I was a full-time manager at Wells Fargo. And the banks nowadays ask you to work like 60 plus hours, and I was. So imagine I had my husband. He was running his own business. I was working as a manager 60 plus hours. I have my son, teenager son, which you know how that is for all of you who have teenagers. They drive you crazy. And then I have my middle child, and I have my little one. My little tiny one, who at that moment when I was diagnosed was only a year old. So I was like, honestly, I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do now? So your first instinct as a human being, you're like, whoops, I guess I'm just going to kick the bucket. But no, you bounce back. You start thinking about what you're going to do because you have your family, you have your kids. And the truth is you keep going because you have them. You're not going to give up. You really don't have a choice to just lay in bed and say, that's it. It's done for me. So I decided to go back to work. And it was crazy because I went back to work with my oxygen and my little pump attached to my heart. And I was walking around the branch like if it was nobody's business. I couldn't care less. Here I am with my oxygen. You got to take it or leave it. Well, my boss loved me. And my boss's boss loved me because I've always been a hard worker. And I really, really, really got up every day loving what I was doing because I was motivating my team at the store, at my branch. And I would motivate them and teach them and coach them. So I was loving what I was doing. I was doing what I was meant to do, what I had gone to school to do. So when my boss came to me one day, I was like, look, Ada, I think you're hurting yourself because you are pushing yourself with in regards to being here so many late hours. And I wasn't really eating the way I should be. And I wasn't doing my physical therapy the way I should. So it was a hard moment for me because I sat there and I realized, yes, that's it. I have to think about myself. I can no longer just think about work, and career. I have to think about being here longer for my kids, for my husband, because I didn't want to leave him alone with these 3 kids, which is terrifying to think about. So I said, okay, time has come. The time has come to stay home. And when I first stayed home, I was going crazy. I was like, what am I going to do with myself now? 60 hours working. I mean, now I'm home and I'm just going to sit on a couch and pretty much wait to pass away. Because at this point, the doctors tried lung transplant. They had put me on the list, but I was actually denied due to some other complications I had when I was younger with the disease. So I couldn't get new lungs. There's no medication out there that exists to cure my disease or to help with the fibrosis, which is a constant thing that's getting worse and worse. So I said, okay, well, I'm home now. What do I do? At first, you really have to do some soul searching because you're like, okay, well, it's like I'm retired. So, here I am sitting down and doing a little list of things I'm going to do. Okay, this is what I would have done when I retired, and painting and reading and writing and yada, yada, yada. But I still felt pretty crappy, like on a daily basis, health-wise. I felt crappy. I had no energy. I was sitting on my butt every day, just like watching the days go by, feeling like crap. And gaining weight, which was horrible because when you go from being so active to then just sitting down, obviously you're going to gain. So I went up to, I think pretty bad, up to 150. So it was, I want to say it's October of 2015, and I go to the doctor. And she's like, well, you're now pre-diabetic. And I'm like, oh boy. Once you become diabetic, then things start to get very, very complicated. Obviously, things, your body is a well-oiled machine, and you want every part of it running properly, because if it doesn't, then the other organs, other parts have to compensate, which is what happened with my heart. It had to compensate for my lungs. So when the doctor told me that, I was like, okay, that's it. Enough is enough. I'm not going to sit on the couch anymore. I can't change what's happening to my lungs and my heart, but I can sure as heck control getting diabetes. So that's when I contacted my lifelong friend, Anna Hernandez, who's my Beachbody coach. And I had seen that she had posted something about funny little containers. And it's funny because, you watch TV and you see all the videos and, selling the 21-day fix. And so I was like, I messaged her and I'm like, hey, Anna, is that the stuff for the portion control? And she's like, yes. I go, okay, I want to give it a shot. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to do the exercise as well as everybody else could. So I told her, I'm going to try the diet stuff. I'm going to do the portion control. I'm going to do the healthy eating. I bought the Fixate cookbook, and I'm going to try the shakes. So we started with that. She kept giving me all the support. I was like, okay, I lost 2 pounds. And I would send her a text. She's like, you go, girl. I've lost 8 pounds now. She's like, you go, girl. And then she started putting me up on her Facebook saying, hey, if she could do it, what's your excuse? Which is sort of true, right? If I'm here, home and I'm bored to death and I'm like, and the kids are driving me crazy and I still got to do laundry because, by the way, I'm home now, but that doesn't mean that I'm rich home. I still got to do laundry. I still got to, cook food. I still got to clean the house as best as I could. So, trying to juggle all these things, truth is, what is the excuse for everybody else? So little by little, I started to lose the weight from the healthy eating. Well, by, I want to say July, I had lost the 27 pounds in July. And that was just walking. But guess what? By that time, I went from walking only 5 minutes to walking a full half hour. And I was amazed because, honestly, I never thought I was going to be able to walk that much. I would walk 5 minutes with my oxygen, and I would be like huffing and puffing. But last July, I got to the point where I can actually walk 30 minutes without gasping for air. With my oxygen on, though, with the oxygen on. But it was still such an improvement. So then, fast forward to this point now, I finally got to start actually doing the exercises in November of last year. I was able to start doing the actual exercises on the DVDs like everybody else. I never thought I could do that. I told Anna, I just want to be able to do PIO. Honestly, now I'm doing 21-day fix stuff. I'm doing the yoga stuff. I'm doing country heat stuff. And I can't even believe it myself that I've come this far. Doctors are amazed. I go see the doctors and they're like, what are you doing? And I was like, well, I'm doing this 21-day fix thing. And it's funny because I talked to everybody about it. I talked to the nurses and to the doctors and everything. And even before I became a coach, Anna saw this. She saw it. She saw me like posting up about Shakeology. She saw me about my transformation. So out of the blue one day, she's like, hey, do you want to be a coach? And I already had it in the back of my head because I'm like, what better coach can I be? I used to be a manager. I have all this wonderful, Fortune 500 training in me, wanting to burst out. And I mean, I'm a product of the product. I'm proof that it works, right? No one can tell me, oh, that's not going to work because, hey, my picture is there. And by the way, guys, I weighed in this morning at 110. So I officially have lost 39 pounds. 39 pounds.
You go, girl. You go, girl.
Which is amazing. I mean, my husband every day tells me how proud he is. And sometimes, guys, I can't even believe it. I look back and I'm like, can this really be happening? Because a year ago, the doctors had said that, that's it. You have like about a year left. Well, guys, every day, terrible things happen to all of us. None of us are immune from that. And yes, doctors will tell you, this is what's going to happen. This might happen, blah, 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 blah. But, and no offense to those doctors, the thing is that it's in you. You have to really dig deep and find out, just like everybody else has been saying on this call, you have to find out what you want inside of you. Do you want to live or do you want to die? Well, I chose live. I chose that. You know what? I want to live. I want to see my daughters get married. I want to be there holding their hands when they have their first babies. So I want to make sure that I make it. And this has been a lifesaver. So if anybody out there says, how could it be a lifesaver? Hey, you see that girl over there with the oxygen? Well, she lost 39 pounds. She can now walk for more than 30 minutes, and she can do exercise. So no one can say they can't do it. I have to juggle everything just like everybody else, even though I'm home, but I still find my 30 minutes. I still use my containers. I still tweak all my recipes. So everybody can do it. Anybody can do it. You just have to find it within you to get it done. And I know it's in everybody because I'm nothing special. I'm just a regular gal like everybody else. So if it's in me, it's in everybody else.
I would beg to differ on that. You are quite special. I'll shut up now, Mom.
No. I mean, she said it all. That was so powerful, Ada. And thank you so much for your transparency. Thank you to Anna for just, bringing you into our team. You have just injected us with so much hope and determination. And I swear I do. There's oftentimes that I find myself, I'm like, no, I'm fighting for people like Ada on my team. And just like you're fighting for yourself and all the people that you're inspiring now. So thank you for everything you share with us tonight. We love you and we are so happy for you. And I'm excited to see you continue to grow now your business so that you can hire someone to do the laundry. Yeah.
Yeah. No more laundry.
No more laundry. All right, Chris,
awesome.
Take it away, Chris.
Ada, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your determination, for your inspiration, for every day doing what you do. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's going to start following you now just to be inspired by you to stop making excuses and take action. So we appreciate you and we're so happy you're part of our team. All right, guys, we are running a tad bit off schedule. So I'm going to hand it over to our third success story. We have two more before Craig starts delivering his presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Kim Carter. She is another Diesel Nation leader who is going to be introducing one of her dear friends, Suzanne Santi, and her success story.
Thank you, Christina. I hope everybody can hear me okay. So I'm super excited to get to introduce Suzanne, just a bit about her and how we know each other and just the backstory. So Suzanne and I actually went to high school together, and kind of like we were talking about in the beginning, I think Mindy mentioned it, we have a lot of coaches on our team, because we reconnect with old high school friends and that sort of thing. The really funny thing is that Suzanne and I were not high school friends. We were acquaintances at best. She was cheer, I was dance. Very, very separate worlds in the high school that we grew up. We did not talk. We did not mingle with the same people. We both probably did not think very nice things about each other in high school. So that's how it started. Fast forward, to a couple of years ago, I've been coaching for a couple of years. I get this random message one day, hey, can I call you? I need to talk, from Suzanne. I'm like, I've never talked to this girl in my life. What does she want, right? And come to find out, she had been following my coaching journey for a year and she was one of those, she never liked a single post. She never comments on anything. I had no clue we were probably even Facebook friends, right? So she reached out to me. And basically, I want to actually screen share real quick too, because I want to share this photo. I'm not great at screen sharing. Sorry, this is gonna take a second. Okay, so this photo, whoops, right here, is the day that she called me and she said, I just quit my job. I've got all these health issues. I'm miserable and I want to do what you do. And I was like, excuse me? And she was one of my first like really working coaches. So I was like, I don't even know what to do. And then just to share this, fast forward, and she's going to fill in all of her journey. This is Suzanne now. And I'm going to stop at that. This was after a couple months ago when she completed 21 Day Fix Extreme. And anyway, so that is her transformation. I just wanted to share that because she's done some amazing things in all areas of her life. And I'm going to turn it over to Suzanne and let her actually share the story. Take yourself off of mute, girl. There you go.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm a little nervous. So, yeah, about that thing with the high school, Kim and I, oh God, it's so funny. Like she said that we probably didn't say nice things about her. I didn't like her post because I was jealous of her. So I would never like hit like on anything because I didn't want her to be excited or something. You know how we get. I'm not like that anymore. Anyways, so I'm kind of a raw person. I might embarrass myself here, and I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. But this is my story, and this is what got me here. So, so many things led up to the story that I want to share with you first. In a nutshell, and this is like 10 years compressed into a run-on sentence, I had an affair. I moved across the country with no family whatsoever. I just needed a lifestyle change. And then I got pregnant with my daughter's father. And then now, in a nutshell, I have 2.5 husbands, or I've had them. So there's a lot of stress there. And, you know, I was mentally exhausted. I was just pretty much over myself. I couldn't believe that I had become like the black sheep of my family. I was that girl. So anyways, I was really looking for, can you hear me okay? I feel like I'm echoing. Okay. I was really looking for a way out of my life, hence the move and all the crazy stuff that I did. I'm probably going to write a book. But anyways, I decided that the best way out was to get a job as a flight attendant, because then I could do whatever I wanted and go wherever I wanted, and life would be great. Well, that wasn't really the case. I ended up being a flight attendant, and I was on reserve, and they pretty much owned my soul. But this led me up to the story I'm going to tell you, because this was my absolute breaking point. It's really embarrassing. So any of you that can't handle gory details, just go ahead and mute me real quick. So I was on reserve. I had a 5-day trip call out at 5 a.m. in the morning, no, 2 a.m. I had to be at the airport at 5 a.m. I have a little daughter. I was a single mom at the time. So they called me for a 5-day trip that I was not coming home for. So I needed to scramble and find babysitting for 5 days at 2 o'clock in the morning. So I was like already stressed about that. Well, then I started my lady visit. And so the reason I just told you that was because I was having a lot of trouble with that. I was having those heavy periods for 10 weeks at a time, to the point where I couldn't walk from upstairs to downstairs without having to go back into the restroom. It was awful. 10 weeks, I would get like a 2-day break, and then it would start all over again. My quality of life was absolutely horrendous. It's about a 45-minute drive from my house to the airport. So I had to plan for a stop at the gas station to get to my job, and then hope that nothing happened so I could sign in and then whatever. Well, this last 5-day trip, I was the front flight attendant, so I was this lady in the front, you know, doing all my things. And everyone's staring at me, and I mean, it just all went to hell in a handbasket. We were on the runway, and I had to call the flight attendant in the back and tell her to stop doing the safety demonstration because I'm having a major emergency. And I had to hop in the bathroom and do my thing and then jump out real quick. And then finally I was like, wow, this is the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Everyone's looking at me. I didn't know what was on me. And you can't get yourself together in a flight attendant bathroom or in the bathroom. So at this point, fast forward, I came home from that trip, and my boyfriend, who is now my husband he's 2.5. He's number 2.5. I said, do you like my job? And he's like, hates your job. And I was like, yes, and I said, okay, cool. Well, he went to work and I quit. So I just quit my job, and I called Kim. Like, I think I Facebook messaged her first, and she didn't respond. So I was like, what the F? Like, she's always on Facebook. Why isn't she answering me? And so I posted on her Facebook page, and I'm like, hello, I just sent you a message. And then she's like, hold on, I'm at the grocery store. And I'm like, well, I need this. Like, I need to do this now. And I have to do this. So the way that I was feeling, I was 192 pounds. I had been in and out of the doctor for this lady's issue that I had. And our final judgment was that I was going to have a hysterectomy at 35. And I was on blood pressure medication. I had been since I was 20. And that's ridiculous. Like, it runs in my family. All the women have had heart issues and blood pressure issues. So anyways, I was depressed. I was facing a hysterectomy. I was overweight. I felt hungover every single day. I was totally depressed. I know that most of us can relate. You sit on the couch and the first thing you grab is a pillow so that your fat roll is not hanging over your pants. That was me everywhere we went. And so I was tired. I was done. I was moody. I hated myself. I didn't go to events. I drank too much. The quality of my life was just crap. So they decided, they did ultrasounds. They did the blood pressure medication. She told me to take like a ridiculous amount of Advil to try to slow it all down. And then she gave me Depo-Provera. I don't know if anybody's ever done that, but it was the worst thing that I've ever done. I couldn't breathe. It was just a nightmare. So she was like, well, there's nothing wrong with you. This is your normal. And I was like, no way. This is not going to be my normal. Like, I'm not going to live like this. So that was the day. I call up Kim and I'm like, let's do this. I want to be a coach though, because behind all the other crap in my life, I was a consultant for Jenny Craig. I was also the center manager for Slimgenics, which is a local weight loss company here in Colorado. And then also another one is Metabolic Research, which is, I won't even go there. Anyways, so I felt like, well, if I could do that for somebody else, why can't I do this for myself, hold myself accountable, make a career out of this? I mean, I was successful at it for a corporate company, so let's do this. So I quit my job, and I was desperate, and I stalked her until she finally helped me sign up. And I was like, please help me, let's do this. So I started with 21 Day Fix, Coach and Roll. I hid that I ordered it because I just quit my job and I was too scared to spend $140. So I waited and waited and waited until I knew that the package was going to show up on accident, like when he's there and I wasn't. And so a few minutes before I figured the mailman was there, I was like, oh, by the way, I have this thing that I'm doing, and I need you to be okay with it. And he was like, well, that's fine. I mean, you can do that, but I'm not drinking that stuff, and I have a gym membership. And I was like, okay, whatever. But so I got started, and I read through everything like a good little girl. And honestly, I know that you're going to think that I'm like blowing this out of proportion, but 30 days of drinking Shakeology, I got my first cycle, my women's cycle, and it was normal. Like, it was absolutely normal. It was 7 days and it stopped. And it has been normal ever since. Like, I haven't had another issue ever since. And I know it's not just Shakeology. I felt good about myself. I was sleeping good. I was helping people. I was holding myself accountable. I was doing my workouts and I was eating clean, and that whole thing was like a miracle package that just repaired me from the inside out. So with that being said, I went to the doctor and she's like, oh my God, you don't need to be on blood pressure meds. And I was like, yes. So she took me off my blood pressure meds. She's like, since you had a new cycle, and I told her, of course, I'm like, 21-day thing, Shakeology, tell everybody, let's do this. But she was like, you don't need a hysterectomy. You have a normal cycle. You're 35. I don't want you to have a hysterectomy. You're too young. And so we canceled my hysterectomy consultation. And, I've been, normal for 2 years. So with that, I am just so proud of the fact that, and unfortunately, it does run in my family. So it's like every woman I know almost is on blood pressure meds or some heart medication, or they're dealing with obesity in my family. And I refuse to be one of those family statistics that my 8-year-old daughter has to write down on a piece of paper later on. Like, she's not going to be like, well, my mom has this. It's not happening. I'm taking care of myself. So I just want to share, my life has continued to surprise me in so many ways. I can do things now at 37 that I just couldn't even think about doing in my 20s. I mean, I went through a whole phase of diet pills and all that fun jazz where you think that you drink 12 Dr. Peppers and you're getting 1,200 calories. That's ridiculous. So, I mean, you learn so much, and I've gone from a size 14 to a size 8. I've gone from 192 pounds down 35 pounds. I've learned that I used to be a diet extremist. The reason that I couldn't handle anything was because if I wasn't perfect, I threw everything out the window and I would binge eat. So I was definitely a diet extremist, and I've learned it's okay to screw up. It's okay to indulge. It's okay to do the things that you want to do, and you have to give yourself a break and have a little flexibility and eat the damn cookie, right? So as far as the things that have really been great, I'm married. I have a wonderful marriage. My daughter is watching me every single day. She does an amazing push-up for an 8-year-old, and she can tell you what not to do. Spaghetti back, by the way. And I have realized that it is my mission now to help women feel the way that I do. With everything that I've been through just in my personal life, and then this mental battle that I had, physical battle, I want to share that women are not stuck. You are not stuck where you are. That's not an excuse. You can make a change at any point in your life. Independence is attainable, and all you have to do is conjure a little bit of bravery, right? So as far as me, I used to be so self-conscious, like I couldn't even go into my own closet and pick out an outfit. Now I'm confident. I don't give a crap what people think about me. I'm a better version of myself. I am brave, and I am fit, and I am free from the person that I had become. It's just an amazing feeling what you do to the inside, which shows on the outside. So this is just something I have to share with the world, and I'm glad that you listened to my story. I know it was kind of crazy, and there's definitely some backstory there, but I do appreciate it. But I did want to show you one thing. Since I committed to this fully, I got a tattoo that says, "She who is brave is free." So that's me, and that is my story, and I appreciate you listening to me.
Wow. Kim, do you want to say something?
Just love it. I mean, and this woman is now my best friend in the whole wide world after everything that we've been through together. And I always love hearing her story, because she is so brave, and she always inspires so many people, and she pushes me to be a better person still every single day too. So we're partners in this, and I love her to death.
Thank you. I love you too.
Both of you. Suzanne, it's perfect combination of witty and powerful. That it was just a great moment for you to share your story on this call. Two things that come to mind. Number one, clearly, is the human connection, right? It's the fact that Kim was sharing her life and her Beachbody life and her whole life on social media, and someone was watching. And when they are ready, they will be ready. You cannot force this. You know, sometimes when you do that, it just doesn't work. The person has to have a switch that goes off in their head that says, okay, now. So, you know, what I always say is, what if you stop? If you stop, then all those people that would have had that switch turn on, all of a sudden don't have it anymore. They don't have you anymore. So you have to keep going, because people like Suzanne are going to come into your life as long as you remain consistent and relentless in the pursuit of this business. I know Mindy just gave me duck lips when I said that. So, and then the second thing is, think outside the box, you guys. We just heard a story that I've never heard before about how Shakeology has helped someone about this woman issue, right? And women are everywhere. So don't be afraid. And obviously we cannot claim that Beachbody is a medicine or does any of that. You guys know that. But the fact that there are success stories, look at the boys with their championship trophies, but there are success stories like this that will relate to people out there. You just have to share them. So Becky, congratulations to the boys on their championship. Yay, that's so awesome. So now we have one more success story to share. This one is a combo business success / transformation success, I guess in every sense of the word, you should say. I'm going to turn it over to Julia, fellow attorney, fellow rock star, leader on Diesel Nation, who's going to be sharing her PS coach, Jamie Hunt, with us.
All right. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Thumbs up? Yes? Good? All right. I have known Jamie for a while now. Actually, our parents are friends, and we both had baby girls around the same time. And I feel like it was a little secret competition who could have the biggest hair bow on their daughters at the time. And I don't know who won that, but I think Jamie may have beat me out because she is intense. This girl is amazing. And it seems to be the theme of, you know, this whole conversation tonight about what Christina says is the note to self, never to give up on people, and to just keep posting your message and people will watch it. And I can't even really think about and describe the impact that me being a coach has had on Jamie's life without tearing up. I cannot talk about it. Jamie will talk about it, but I mean, it's incredible. And it took a little while to get this girl to become a coach, but let me tell you, she was worth the wait. Now, a little bit about Jamie. She's been a coach for 18 months. She is a lifetime 3-star diamond coach. She has never missed a month of Success Club, but it took forever to get her to coach, right? And I'm sure you're probably all experiencing that right now about hearing no, 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 no. I heard no for a while, and in my attorney fashion, we do this kind of question and answer session. So, Jamie, why did it take you so long to become a coach?
So when we talked about this earlier, and I have told her this many times, can everyone hear me okay? I didn't think that I needed that in my life. For one, I thought that I was pretty fit. I was an all-star cheerleader, a gymnast, and I thought I looked fine. I didn't think that I needed the fitness component at all. So I had my blinders on to that. Then financially, my family got into a large pickle, and she started posting about finances, and that intrigued me. But I didn't really want, her to know that because I was afraid. And she had asked me, reached out to me, and she knew I was into fitness, and I said no. I'm pretty sure I asked a few questions every time that she came back to me, but I always said no. Then I remember I put up a post that I was doing T25, and I'm pretty sure I threw up. And she was like, bam, message, I'm messaging you. Like, why are you posting that and you're still not signing up with me? And so I still said no. But every single time that she came back to me, it was like peeling an onion. Like deep down, I really knew that I probably should try this, but I just I wasn't there yet. And every time that she was asking me, I would ask her more and more questions. And finally, when we kind of hit rock bottom with finances, and I was also having these heart palpitations, I was drinking like 4 cups of coffee a day, and my doctor told me that I need to be on anxiety medication. And I was like, I'm like not anxious at all. Like nothing bothers me. I don't get mad. And he was like, well, you're just extremely sensitive to your body. And if you don't want to feel these, then you need to stop drinking caffeine. And I had remembered a post that she posted about how Shakeology gives her energy. So I messaged her. I said, don't lie to me. You tell me right now that shake gives you all day energy and that I won't be driving home at 3 o'clock about to hit a trait. And I might say yes. And because at that point it became financial and also health for me. And she was like, Jane, I swear, I feel like, and now this is what I say, I feel like I am just like the fog is just removed and I can see clearly and then I can focus on my day. And I said, okay, fine. I have to run it by one person. So I have a really close family friend. He is an anesthesiologist. He is board certified in holistic medicine. And he's my uncle. And I said, you need to look at these shakes because I trust you. And I would never, I have been a very healthy person. And he looked at it and he got back to me in about a week and he said, if there's going to be something that you do and that you put in your body, I would put this in my body and without hesitation. And I said, all right, Joel, all right, I'm in. So basically I was afraid, I think, to say yes. I was afraid, I didn't know what it entailed. And but every single time that she came back to me and asked me, I learned a little bit more. And I honestly think if she didn't come back to me, I don't know if I would have reached out to her. And I don't know if I would have reached out to anybody else, to be honest. So obviously I'm thankful for that every single day. Next question.
So Jane, next question. Now, when you first signed up to become a coach, you mentioned that the finances were bad. What was life like for you that you needed to take that step? What was it like? Explain to everybody.
So my husband was literally he was a gym teacher at the time, an hour and a half away. So he was leaving our house at about 5 o'clock in the morning. He was going to that job. He was leaving that job and going to his second job until midnight and sometimes until 6 o'clock in the morning. He would do a double and then he would go back to teaching. So, 2 to 3 nights of the week, he was never going to sleep. And at this point we have 2 kids and, one's 3 and one's a baby. And on the weekends, he was doing the same thing, but it was just Friday into Saturday and Saturday into Sunday. So he was, I'm not kidding, I got a text message almost every day that he was falling asleep at the wheel, almost crashing. And he, had huge bags under his eyes. He looked sick. My kids never saw him. Our marriage was, crumbling. I had so much resentment for him because, he couldn't get another job to not have this other job. I was that crazy psycho person on Facebook, no offense to anybody who still does this, selling used socks, here are $2, used sneakers, my daughter would put something on that wouldn't fit her anymore. She'd be like, don't sell it on Facebook. And I was just going insane. Something has to happen. Something needs to change. And, that was a huge part for me when I saw all of her financial posts. And I knew that, it was my turn to do something about this. And a lot of my questions, were about the financial aspect of it. So that was, my main focus. And I'm very open about that with my coaches that, you know, financial was my big reason in the beginning.
Now, Jane, explain to everybody, when you first signed up to become a coach and finance was your big why, did it immediately change for you? How did you approach coaching right away?
So I think because when I first started, like, everybody always talks about your why. And it wasn't that I got like annoyed or upset. I just didn't know that it was, for me, it was that easy that I just had a why that quickly. And I remember that summer, like, that was the big theme. Like, everybody needs to know their why. You need to share it with your coaches. And it's okay if you don't know, your why right now, but just share it with other people. And for me, I guess I didn't realize that I had such a strong why in the beginning. But like, mine basically was, I need to save my marriage. I needed to save my family. I needed my children to have a father back in their life. And I need to have my husband around because I'm dying. And so it was life or death. Like, I had to do this. And like Julia says, like, intense. I signed up coincidentally on our anniversary of our wedding date. And by the next day, I was Emerald. My first paycheck, I think, was a pretty nice $400 paycheck. And as soon as it happened, I was like, oh my God, like, this is it. This is it for me. My husband was able to quit that second job in probably like a month and a half, because, and not that we, like, we're too quick to judge it, but because I knew and I made the decision that I'm not going to look back. And this is right in front of me. It's been in front of me for a year. I see the potential now, and I'm going to hit the ground running. And as long as I want this, I can make these things happen. So yes, it was, it did change for me right away, but I think it was mostly because I never let my true meaning get out of my mind.
And if I can just interrupt really quick, she was so intense. So she signed up on August 8th. And I remember I sent her the link, and I was driving to a family party. And she is messaging me, how do I send links? How do I send links? And I'm trying to, like, not text and drive, but I'm trying to respond at red lights. And I could not keep up with this girl's messages. So I had to pull over on the side of the road, and I had to screenshot how to send links, and I had to circle this and do this and arrows here to send it to her. By the time I got home from the freaking party, this girl was an Emerald coach. I'm like, okay, back off of her. Like, she was on fire. And now, Jane, I mean, you've been doing this for 18 months, and I can honestly say, I mean, we talk probably 50 times a day. The intensity with her has not let up. And now, like, explain where you are in your finances with your family now 18 months into it.
Financially, I'm paying our mortgage every month. Getting really consistent. I'm learning advanced placement, so that's really helping me. It really, we're getting out of debt. And for me, I feel like I'm not somebody who goes out and looks for coaches. It just works better for me that I turn my challengers into coaches. I build that really tight relationship, and, I don't really have to do that much. They already love the programs. And so every single one of my coaches, they know my financial situation, and a lot of them are in the same boat, and a lot of them, want that for them. And so it's allowed me to be very open with them and communicate with them and let them know. And it allows me to help them in the sense that, we're on the same page. So it really helps, all areas of the business. And, obviously financially, I also am hoping in a year to 2 years that I can quit my full-time teaching job and do this because, like Amy said, like, I now know what I want to be when I grow up. And it's definitely this. And yeah.
Wow.
So just Well, I was just going to ask to wrap it up. If you had any advice for either like new coaches starting out, what would that be?
To be genuine. So, you don't the theme of this call seems to be that you never give up on people and that it impacts everybody in so many different ways. And if you truly care about the person and you don't just want to get a quick yes, then you're not going to give up on them. And you're going to message them because you do care. And if you lead with passion and you lead with being a genuine person and genuinely caring about them, and you're doing, all the other things in this business that you need to be doing every day, and getting yourself healthy and helping yourself and your family, then it's going to work for you. So if you just lead every day with passion and you're genuine, it's not going to not work. It's going to work. It's amazing.
Amazing. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Julia. That was an awesome success story to lead into our guest speaker. Craig, if you are there, can you come on just so I can know that there you are. Okay, so he is there. Bam! You guys, first, let me just summarize that from the beginning of this call up until this point, we've been moved, we've cried, we've shared stories, and at the crux, at the heart, at the soul of this business, it is the story that matters. So we want to make sure that everybody, when you leave here tonight, and I'm sure you're going to be so inspired after you hear Craig speak, but that you understand that it is important what we do. It is important to connect at a human level with the people that you want to impact, and to really, like Jamie just said, genuinely care about their success and about them and their life. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Craig Holliday. He can introduce himself, and he's so wonderful, but I'll just share a quick tidbit. In our first ever Beachbody Success Club trip, we went to Atlantis, and it was the first time that Becky and I had heard Craig speak, and I'll never forget what he said. I even have that presentation, so I can share that with the teams. It was so good. And I remember something he said. He said, the biggest Beachbody business still hasn't been built. It is not in this room yet. And I remember that sticking with me. And that has never left me, even 6.5 years later, because I still believe that is true. I still believe that we haven't found that coach yet that's going to grow the biggest organization, that person is still out there. And if we continue to find that person and stay consistent in our efforts and keep doing this thing, that we're going to find people like that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to you, Craig. Thank you for being on.
Thank you, Christina. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. You guys, I cut my other busyness short so I could listen to your stories, because, just every one of you moved me. This industry and this business is just so transformational, because like Christina said, it's stories, it's people's lives, it's the transformation of people's lives. And if we ever lose sight of that, and that part that drew us to the business, not only our own stories, but the stories of others, then we really lose the real strength of what we do in this industry and what we do in this business. But, Christina, when she contacted me, she goes, I know you're not going to remember. There's no way you're going to remember me. But she doesn't realize that I remember her so well from Atlantis. She and Becky, they came running up to me and started talking to me. And, I just thought they were amazing. And she had so much energy. And she had just kind of been getting started in the business and that kind of stuff. But see, the people that I when I meet them, there's just something in their eye. It's something that you just feel when you see them. And so I said, yes, I remember I met you in Atlanta. Then she sent me a picture of us in Atlantis together, which was awesome. And I remember being there and talking to you and just seeing your passion for people, and so excited about your life and where you were going, and not really knowing what the journey was going to be and what it was going to bring. But, just that desire and the passion to build a business and to do great and mighty work. So, and I have followed you because I have these people that I worked with for those 4 years I was with Beachbody, and I just followed them, and I'm like a stalker on Facebook, and I watch them move up. And then I watched she and Becky on stage at Summit. I saw the video of that, and it just moved me to tears. And there was just so much authority and strength, and your parents were there, and it was so moving. So thanks for blessing my life, and thanks for making a difference in my life. You know, first of all, let me say how blessed I am to be able to share with you guys. You know, I don't ever take lightly when someone asks me to share with their team, because I know what you guys, I know the relationship you guys have, and I know the kind of leaders that you have. And when people trust somebody else to speak to their team or speak to their group, I know that it's putting a lot of trust in them, and I don't take that lightly at all. And so I'm excited to share with you. You know, I want to share a little bit tonight, I guess, kind of how I even met Beachbody and got involved. And Shalene Johnson was a really good friend of mine, and her husband Brett coached both my sons in high school in football. So I met Shalene and Brett was a coach, and you know, I had a big home in Orange County, so we'd have big football events at my house and stuff. And then I got a call from them one day, and Shalene said, "Hey, we're thinking about this company called Beachbody," and they knew I had had a lot of success in the industry. So they said, "Would you come and meet with these people and let us know if we should even get involved or look at this company?" And they hadn't even launched as an MLM company yet. So I went down and met with Carl and met with some of the guys there. And I literally came out of there and I said, I wouldn't do it right now. I just, you know, I asked some of the people on the marketing, what do you guys know? And it didn't seem like they really knew what was going on. So I just said, hey, wait a while. So it was about 6 months later, they called me again and I had another meeting. And I said, you know, I think this company is going to be amazing. I think their mission of, you know, ending obesity in America is really, because everything in our business has to be about a mission and our core values and our strengths. And meeting Carl and see the passion that he had to really want to change the lives of people, man, it got me excited. And I said, yeah. So then it wasn't, but I spoke at a Powder Blue event that Shalene put on, and I was a guest speaker there. And right after that, I got a call from Christine Dwyer. And Christine Dwyer, I'm sure you guys know who she is, but she was like, hey, I don't know anything. I don't know how to do any of this. You know, can I hire you to come and work with me? So she hired me, and it was the timing was right in my life. So I just worked with their team for 6 straight months, and we had some success. And I remember the first team call I ever did for, and there were people on that call like Janelle Summers, who was an Emerald. Christine Dwyer was a 1-star diamond. I think she was making $1,200 a month or something. Melissa McAllister. These are some of the names that you guys know now that are just like Christine, are champions in this company. But I remember that first call that I did with them. And then we worked hard together for 6 months and had great momentum and saw some great growth. And then Carl called me and he said, what do you plan on doing now? And I said, I don't know. He said, well, you're not leaving. I want you to work with us. So that's what I got a chance to do. And I fell in love with the people. But the reason is because, you know, I've been in love with this. I've been involved in this industry for 37 years. You know, I got involved in 1979 in a company called Amway, and I didn't know anything about the industry. I didn't know anything about Amway or multi-level marketing. And in fact, at that time, there were only 3 companies. There was Herbalife, Amway, and Shackley. And that was all the companies. Now there's 50,000 around the world. But, you know, so a friend of mine shared the business with me. And at that time, I owned a construction company and worked as a police officer. And I looked at the business and I got excited about it because, you know, going back a little bit further, you know, I grew up in a home that was not a fun place to live and not a fun home to grow up in. My mom was an alcoholic for 30 years, and she drank incessantly, and my dad left when I was 7 and walked out of my life. And my mom being an alcoholic, and she thought she was worthless because of that, and she brought men into our lives that were worthless. And I had 4 brothers, and we went through a lot of physical, emotional abuse, and it was just you know, a time in my life that just wasn't pleasant. You know, we don't get to pick our parents, right? We don't get to pick where we came from, but we get to choose where we're going to go. And so I remember I used to hide in this closet, you know, and I was 80 pounds overweight. And I think maybe that was one of the things that I got attracted to the whole Beachbody theme, because I was obese, and I used to hide in this closet because I was afraid to get out of the closet because I didn't know who was going to whack me upside the head or what was going to happen. And it was a really sad time in my life. But what was amazing, and one of the things I want to share with you guys is one of the things that in the midst of all of that pain and that suffering and that abuse, there was just something inside of me I call it DNA. And I've always defined it as determined natural ambition. And I believe that God planted it there. You know, this fat kid that was 80 pounds overweight, that had no self-esteem and no self-worth, and, you know, sitting in this closet, it was just this voice, and it wasn't audible. It wasn't like God sent lightning or anything, but I knew that God said, you know, someday, some way, you're going to do something great with your life. And in the midst of all of that, there was just something, the seed inside of me. And many of you that are watching tonight, you know what I'm talking about. Because sometimes when I speak to large audiences, I'll say this thing about this DNA, and they'll say, that's me. I've always been that kind of person. And, you know, and I lived in the midst of all that pain and that struggle, but at the same time, I knew that someday, some way, my life was going to be significant, that all of this pain and this suffering and this sorrow was not going to go, you know, just go for waste, that it could be used. But one of the things I found, and I found myself in this place, is one of the things I found is that many of us use this past and this pain and this sorrow of our past, and we wear it almost as a banner to justify where we are in our lives, to justify not moving forward, to justify the sadness of staying and choosing to stay where we are. And I meet people all the time and say, well, you don't have any idea what I've been through. And they, it's almost like a crown that they wear and say, well, and then of course we get around people that justify it and say, oh, Craig, I can understand why you're so messed up, because look what happened to you in your life. And, so I spent so much of my life saying, why me? Questioning God, questioning why me? But inside I knew that there was something more. There's something greater I could do with my life. But when that why me? Well, it wasn't until I was probably about, I'm going to guess about 25 years old, that I added one word to my vocabulary with that sentence, and it was, why not me? I just made a decision. I said, why not me? I look at the people around me and I look at their lives, and I realized, and once I went to some self-discovery, which I encourage people I work with and mentor to do, you've got to go to some self-discovery, because we all have hand-me-downs. We have those things that were given to us that we never wanted, right? We never wanted them, but they were handed down to us. But the problem is many of us put them in a trunk, and we carry this trunk around in our lives every single day. And what I want to tell you tonight is what I experienced was I was able to set the trunk down and take the junk out and leave it behind and move on with my life. And so many people I see now, and I work with in mentoring and training and in the industry, outside the industry, and they're just people that have this 300-pound trunk of the hand-me-downs of their life. And, I realize that we all can make the choice. That we're just saying, why not me? Why not come to a place where, sure, those things happen. And there's not one of us on this webinar tonight that can change one thing about our past. I've been talking for 5 or 10 minutes, and I can't get those seconds back. I can't get those minutes back, but I know that I can live this moment in the future of my life. And the other thing I found out is that once I could overcome those things, once I had to forgive my dad, I had to forgive my mom, and I had to go through a lot of personal counseling and therapy to be able to forgive and to move past that. But one of the things that I found, that once I was able to do that, what I found in my life is that there was purpose in that pain. There was purpose in that past. And until we overcome it, it's nothing but pain. It's nothing but hurt, because we don't realize and don't understand that can be used to transform the lives of other people. That very pain was the purpose. See, one of the things I learned about God is there's no plan B. There's never a plan B. There's always a plan A. So no matter what we've been through, I know, sharing a divorce, going through things, we're still on plan A. We don't stop and say, oh, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. And then all of a sudden no, that's all still plan A. So that part of my life was plan A. I didn't want it. It affected my life greatly, but that was just part of it. But when I can now do like what you guys have done now for 37 years, share the story of my life, of saying, here's where I was, here's what I went through, but I made a choice to say, why not me, and transform my life moving forward. Then when people in the audience come up to you and say, that's my story. And so the stories you guys shared tonight of your overcoming and the passion and just a lot of struggles. You know what? The thing is that struggle is less painful than regret. Struggle is less painful than regret in our lives. And so if we learn to say, you know what? I don't want to be 80 years old looking back on my life and just saying, I wish I'd have done this. I wish I could have done this, but I didn't because of this. And we can make that choice. And so many people I meet every day, and even now in coaching and life coaching and things I'm doing, there people are sitting there and they're living with regrets in their life. Instead of facing the struggles and facing the pain of that, facing the change that has to take place in us as men and as women. Instead of facing that, we'd rather retreat and live in that life of regret. And so I made that choice. And so when I got in the industry, one of the things I discovered quickly, and this is one thing that really helped me build quick and fast, I realized that it's not about you. It's not about you. And when I embraced that as kind of my mantra for building the network marketing industry, then when it came to fear, I realized that fear, I didn't have fear. You know why? Because fear is about me. If I'm afraid to talk to people, I'm afraid of rejection, I have fear of success, I have all the fears that so many of you coaches face the day you step in this business. Those fears come from self-absorption, that it's about me. So I built a big business. I built it really quickly because I went with a theme that it's not about me. Because I realized here's what we do in our business. Here's what we do, guys. We're on a journey of significance. We're on a journey of significance. That's what we do every day. And so many of us want to get wrapped up in how do we do this and how do we do that? What about this and what about that? And yet what the truth is of our business was mentioned earlier. It's the why. Why are we doing this? And when we live in the why, when I sit down to connect with someone, I sit across from them, okay, they're not connecting with me because I sell Shakeology. They're not connecting me because my body's transformed. They're connecting with me because I'm bringing something to them that no one's brought. And that's an ear that listens. That's bringing hope to someone. That's sitting across from someone in a sit down, no matter what company you're with. But even with Beachbody, and this is one of the things I had to train the new coaches or the coaches I worked with on, because they were so wrapped up in transformation and Shakeology. I said, no. We have to connect. And the way you connect is you find out, where are they at? Where are you at today? And you ask the questions and you listen. Because listening is more powerful than anything you will ever say to someone sitting across from you. Nothing is as profound as being the ability to listen. Because when you listen, you connect. Because people want to be listened to. So what do you bring on this journey of significance? You bring hope. You bring hope to people's lives. And we think that everybody, has somebody who believes in them. Everybody's always said, I believe in you, or that you can do it. And I found through the years that's so not true. I remember I did a Beachbody event with Pete Pena in Vegas. And I did this event, it was about 50 people. And this woman came up to me, and she was about 40 years old. Her name was Ingrid. And she looked at me, and I just had this incredible passion for this woman. She had tears in her eyes, was telling me her story. And I said, you know what, Ingrid, I believe in you. I just grabbed her face with my hands, and I said, I believe in you. And she just broke down and cried, and I gave her a big hug. And the next day I got a message on Facebook, and it said, Craig, I'm 42 years old. And in my life, no one has ever said, I believe in you. Not one person. And we think about that as insignificant. We think, oh gosh, that's not a big, no, it's a big deal. So what you do as coaches, what sends us out the door every day, the passion of our lives of knowing that I'm going to be significant in the lives of another person. And that's how you build a big business. People ask me all the time when I'm working with coaches in different companies or whoever, and they say, how do I build a bigger business? I said, you go be significant in one more person's life. You wake up every day and you quit being about you. And you live your life alert to life every day. And especially with a cause that many of you believe in, and that's changing the obesity and ending that. But it's not so much even on, I found out that being obese, it wasn't what I was eating, it was what was eating me. And the pain of that, and the only control I had in my life as a young boy was to eat, because I could control physically what happened to me. I could control emotionally what was happening to me, but I could control eating. And that's so the people you work with, I remember Tommy, you guys know who Tommy Migran is. I'm working with Tommy, and Tommy, I don't know if you know his story, but he smoked dope and dipped tobacco and just laid on the couch, and he got obese and got fat. And I remember him telling a story once. And so I got in Beachbody, and I drank all the Shakeology, and I did P90X, and I lost all this weight. He came off stage, I said, Tommy, that's not your story. Tell me why you got 100 pounds overweight. Tell me what you felt like as a man with 100 pounds overweight. Tell me what it felt like to sit there hopeless on the couch, smoking pot just to get by your day. Tell me what that felt like. And then tell me what's transformed that, the choice in your life for transformation. So we want to so much give testimony of product or, but really what your movement is. And the difference we make in people's lives is, tell me why you got there. Tell me what caused that. What were those hand-me-downs? What were those things? And so, I learned quickly that it's not about me. So when I went out to share my business, I got involved. I was 29 years old. I went after it. I worked all night as a cop and all day in construction. But I went after the business, and I just said, you know what, God, if you brought this gift to me, because that's what we have. Each one of us, we have this silver box, and that's what we have in our business. It's like you have this beautiful silver box. And when you go to present it to somebody, you say, you want this silver box? And if they look at it and say, well, no, thanks. It doesn't change the value of the box. And see, what you realize in that box is hope. In that box is, I believe in you. In that box is giving someone a chance to go from where they are and leave the past to where they can go and what they can do. And that's what you have. And those are your transformational stories. And I tell people, don't tell people your story till you hear theirs. Don't tell someone else your story till you hear theirs. So we sit across from people in a sit down. We want to tell them about our transformation and what they can do and their fitness and all these different things. Or, people ask for a sip of water, we open a 4-inch fire hose on them. And we don't shut up for 20 minutes, right? Because we're so excited. But you know, that's not connection. Connection is listening. I remember reading a book by C.S. Lewis, and he's one of my favorite authors, and he's a Christian author, and he wrote a book, and he was madly in love with his wife. She was the most amazing woman. And he was just devastated when she died. And he tells the story of being at the viewing. You know, it was a Friday night, and it was a viewing of her body. And he told the story of sitting there, you know, just by himself, and men would come in, and women, and, you know, they'd come in, and he said they just start rattling off, oh, you know, she's in a better place. God's brought home an angel. And, you know, all the rhetoric that you think people should say that don't know what to say when someone's passed away. And he just sat there, and he said, you know, then a man came in. He said, this man came in and he sat next to me. And he said, he just leaned over and he squeezed me close and he gave me a kiss on the cheek. He said, you know what? He never said a word to me. Not a word. And he said, in a matter of seconds, I was sharing my love for my wife and the passion of my life. And he was just sharing the intimacy of this love for this woman. He said, he still never said a word. And he said, he got up and he kissed me on the cheek again and he walked out of that room. And C.S. Lewis said, you know, I'll never remember one word any of those people said to me, but I will never forget that man. And see, that's what we do every day. That's our journey. That's, you know, living daily with an intentional act of significance. Living daily with an intentional act of significance, realizing that it's not about me. And so I went out and I started sharing my life with people. I started showing up in their life. And you know what I did when I showed up? I said, you're better than this. You're better than where you are. And no one's ever told them that. And then I said, not only are you better than that, I'm going to walk alongside of you and help you become everything that you know that you could become, that you've been called to become. And many of those people were those DNA people. They said, Craig, I've always known I was going to do something great. Now, I got to be honest with you. I didn't think it would be in multi-level marketing. You know, as a young kid, I didn't say, what are you going to be when you grow up? Oh, a network marketer. I mean, you know, that wasn't, but it was the power of the industry is people. It's relationships. And I realized that if I was going to be significant, it had to be in the lives of others. Because, see, we spend half of our life, many of us, the age of 50, and most of you aren't there yet, but the age of 50, trying to be successful. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, put your kids in a beautiful school, have a beautiful home, and, you know, all the things that we work hard for as parents, especially. But, you know, you come to a point in your life and you say, what have I done of significance? And that's the struggle that people go through at that age. And you see people retiring, right? They get older. What do? They go on mission trips and they start helping the homeless. And they start doing things of significance that they never did before because they were too busy creating success. And what you guys have an opportunity to do is you only succeed and you only prosper in our business by being significant. It's the only business in the world. If you think about it, it's the only business where we only prosper by being significant in one more person's life. But what happens to us as we get on this journey, and many of you have been in the business a while, you know, and we lose sight of that passion. We lose sight of that why. We lose sight of, why am I doing this? And that's the thing we need to revisit every single day. And many of you out there, I know you're at this point and you struggle, and pretty soon all the things of the business, because we take our eyes off that why. We take our eyes off that place we want to go. We take our eyes off that calling. And one thing I've learned about callings, they're non-negotiable. You know, people say, how long are you going to do this? I said, well, it's not negotiable. I've been called. It's what I do till God puts me in the ground. Because it's not, you know, well, you've made millions of dollars. Well, if I did it for the money, I would have stopped when I made the money. And it was never about the money. It was about life change and about realizing that I was an impact player, that I was designed and created by a living God to do something greater and significant in my life. And that's not to put anybody else down, but I know that's my calling. And if it is, then all I'm doing is distorting that calling by not stepping up every day and making a difference and being that person. And many of you tonight that are on this webinar, I promise you, you know what I'm talking about. That's the same feeling you have inside. But we let the struggle of the day, we let you know, life isn't going to stop so you can go 15-star diamond. Your husband's not going to get better. Your kids aren't going to get better. They're not going to stop acting up. All the things that we want to put aside, man, if I can get this squared away, then guess what? I'll be able to build. That's an excuse. That's an excuse because the squalls are going to come. The squalls are going to come. And we need to learn to be emotional matadors, where we learn that we don't allow the things of the day to take us down so we can't be effective in life change. And so we learn as emotional matadors to move it to the side. You know, and sure, it still hurts, it's painful, but I control my attitude. You know, when you woke up this morning and, you know, and your heart was beating and you opened your eyes and you could get up and walk, then that tells me there's something to get done and there's something to do. But when we start going in this self-absorption, whereas we start worrying about, God, will I ever find anybody who wants to do what I do? And we get wrapped up in the daily grind of building this business. It's not easy. You know, being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's tough. Darren Hardy said, you know, I was reading his book, Entrepreneurial Roller Coaster, great book. And in his book, he said, being an entrepreneur is like chewing glass and staring down a black abyss. Well, that's exciting. You know, let's sign up for that, right? But that's what it is when you decide to work for yourself, because nobody's going to motivate you. Your upline is not in business to motivate you. I always tell people, well, you're a motivational speaker. I go, I've never motivated anybody. I can inspire because of life change. I can inspire because of overcoming, but you're not going to motivate anybody. And if you're here tonight and you need someone to motivate you every day, and you need someone to call you every day to get you out to change your life, then your why isn't big enough. And some of you need to increase your why. I mean, increase it to a point where it's scary. I mean, audacious. Like, are you kidding me? I know Chalene Johnson talks about the stretch goal, right? The one that, holy crap, am I ever going to do that, right? But that's the one you can't do by yourself. That's the one you need a team to do. When you think about the success in the world, whether it's a Martin Luther King, people that have impacted the world, they've never done it alone. And that's what's such a blessing that we have in our business, because we get to build as a team. We get to, you aren't going to grow if you don't change the life of another. You aren't going to grow if you don't change your life. You're not going to grow if you don't become a leader and learn to lead, because, you know, numbers follow leaders. You don't wake up one day in this industry and say, oh my God, I got 1,000 people on my team. What am I going to do? Your numbers will follow your ability to lead, right? Generational leadership, level 5 leadership that Maxwell talks about. Level 5 leadership is leaders developing leaders that develop leaders that develop leaders. And I learned that in my business, because I realized until I had strong leadership, I'm talking character, moral, strong, integrity-driven leadership of people that understood their why and the dream and the passion and were sold out to the team. Until I had those players, my business was always going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. It's going to be weak. It's going to be a struggle all the time. So I went to work and saying, I've got to find men and women that want to lead. And the ones that have that DNA, they're those people. But we have to come alongside of them. Because when I start a new coach, if I'm a beach party, if I start a new coach, here's my formula. I do it, you watch. You do what I watch, you do it. And one of the mistakes we make is we sponsor a new coach, you say, you do it. Do what? Right? Well, you know, drink Shakeology and work out and talk to people. Okay, that's weak, right? You need to be effective as you start a new IBL, right? They're looking to you. They're looking to you because, you know what? I remember when, those of you with kids out there, do you remember you taught your kid to ride a bike, right? Whether it was a boy or a girl, you know, they had the training wheels on there. And man, all of a sudden, my son's 32 now, but when he was a little kid, I think he was 5 years old. Well, Jimmy down the street he took his training wheels off. So of course, Taylor's like, he's very competitive. He ended up playing pro baseball for the Yankees and very competitive kid. He goes, Dad, Jimmy's got his wheels off. I want mine off. So I said, okay. So we worked on the wrench and we took the training wheels off. And I remember taking him out in the street. And I remember this, he has these beautiful blue eyes, blonde hair. And I remember him looking up at me and he's going, Daddy, I can do this, right? I can do this, right, Daddy? I said, you got this, bro. You got this. There's no word. You're going to do this. You see, Taylor didn't believe he could ride the bike without the wheels on. In this heart of hearts, he did not believe that he could ride that bike. But you know what he believed in? His dad. He believed that I wasn't going to let him fall. I wasn't going to let him fail. And you know how you take your kid and you run alongside and now take your hands off and he's going, oh, Dad, I'm going to die. You know, and you scream and you grab him again. And, you know, pretty soon you run alongside him and pretty soon what do? You take your hands off. And when you remove your hands, they're like wobbling, but they're going down the street. I always say, then they're gone. You come back, they're gone for 18 years. You never see them again. But seriously, but you know what? He kept saying, Dad, I can do this. When you sponsor a new coach, they're looking at you and say, Christina, I can do this, right? Because they don't believe they can. Because they've heard it doesn't work. They've heard everybody fails. They heard nobody makes money. You know, they don't believe they can do it. But they believe in you. They believe in you. And that's why you have to say, just watch me. Watch me as I do a sit down. Watch me as I help you prospect. Watch me as I help you build leadership. And then you're going to be able to do what I do. And so, and to build generational leadership, you know, 4 or 5 generations deep, okay, of building leaders with integrity and character that understand the mission of what we're doing. And so some of you need to really embrace and think back, okay, the coaches I've signed up in the last 6 months, How many of them have I embraced? How many of them I've sat down and gone and started correctly? How many of them have I built a contract around? What are your expectations? Here's the expectations you can have of me. What do you want? When do you want it? How many hours a week can you put in? Right? And then you build a game plan around that. And then you become the person in their life that no one's ever been. And that's the mentor. That's the one who believes in them. That's the one who will kick their butt when they need to. The one who will lift them up when they need to. You know, the one that'll carry them when they need to. And then when you build those kind of relationships with your team, I promise you, you will grow and you will flourish in this business without a doubt. But some of you need to increase the dream. You know, it's not strong enough. You're not going to do it for a car. You're not going to do it for a new house. I'm sorry, I've been around a long time. I'm telling you, you're not going to do it for anything material. But what you're going to do it for is because you know in your heart of hearts that you have the seed embedded in your life, that there's a song you're supposed to sing, and you realize that it's your time to start to sing it. It's your time to start to make a difference. It's your time to take the past and realize whatever happened, good or bad, that there was purpose in it. And the only way I'm going to transform the lives of people is when I am able to share my victory. You know, when you hear people speak on stage, you know, if somebody stood up there and said, you know, man, I got in this thing, it was a piece of cake, everybody I talked to got in, and I made so much money, you're like, boo, get them off. You're like, you don't even want to hear from them, right? But then somebody stands up there and shares the story of pain and of overcoming, and like some of you guys shared tonight. And you sit there and your heart goes out and you say, that's me. That's my story. I remember when I first got in the industry, the first event I ever went to, I was brand new in the business, and it was up in Portland, Oregon, 17,000 people at this Coliseum. And I drove up there on a Friday in a motorhome I rented. I had 2 people on my team. And I went up there, and I remember sitting up as high as you could sit in there, you know, because I got in late, and I sat up at the highest point. I saw this couple speak on stage, and they started sharing their lives. They were probably in their late 20s, very wealthy, beautiful looking couple. And I watched them share, and then they started sharing the story of their life and the pain and the things they had gone through. I'm like, oh man, you know, it made, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm connected with this, right? And then and then they started talking about overcoming and winning and being able to change their life because they decided, why not me? And you know what was powerful about that? It was the story. But you know what I did? I looked around the room and I saw husbands and wives sobbing. I saw people grabbing, putting their arms around one another, you know, couples, and holding them tight. Like, that's us, baby. That's going to be our story. We're going to be able to do that. And I saw the impact that that couple had on a stadium of 17,000 people. And so that day, it wasn't the diamond rings they wore. It wasn't the cars they owned. Man, when I saw the people around them, and I saw their lives being literally transformed by the words of those people on that stage, I realized this is what I'm going to do. It's what I got to do. And it's not about me. So I went back and went to work. And my 3rd year, I made $1 million in the business. You know, I ended up with 80,000 people on my team all over the world and made millions of dollars in the industry. But you know, the greatest significance was never the money I made or how much I made or the home I lived in. You know, the greatest significance for me was the letters that I have. I could probably have a trunk in my storage unit of people saying, Greg, thank you. Because if you hadn't talked to me that day at the post office and just asked me how you doing, and then asked them, you know, do you like what you're doing? And when I said no, you said, what do you want to do? Nobody never asked me that. What do you want to do? And I told you, and you came alongside and you showed up and you risked, you know, being rejected to just be willing to sit down with me. Because your greatest blessings in your business, and Christina knows this, and Mindy Horde, and some of you who have large organizations, your greatest moments, as great as her moment was on stage, her greatest moment will not be on stage. It will be sitting in the audience watching her team and watching them go up there. Because here's the blessing we get as leaders in the business, and especially if you help people become successful. Here's the blessing we get. We met them day one. We knew them when they weren't looking that good. We knew when they were in pain. We knew when they were struggling. And now they walk on a stage like Christina did and Becky in these gowns and looking beautiful. But see, we always see the front of the stage. We never see the back of the stage. And you know what? The blessing we get with bringing new people in and transforming their lives, the blessing that comes to us. And I've had the opportunity many times to sit in that audience and watch someone share their story. And I knew them when they didn't believe anymore. I knew them when they called me and said, I'm quitting, man. I can't do this anymore. You know, it's hurting my life. It's hurting my family. And I just, those things just resonate my mind. And then I watch them cross the stage, and I get the blessing of knowing the journey. and being part of the journey. And that's what you get to do. Why would you not want to do that? Why would you not want to spend every day reaching out and giving hope to people around you? But some of you need to intensify the dream. When you wake up in the day, you can't be quiet. You know that I'm going to live alert to life. I'm going to go out and I'm going to share my heart because God's got people. You have divine appointments every single day. Every day of your life, there are appointments waiting for you. And we walk by them because we're worried about what they think. That's about you. You see, that's all about you because you're on a journey of significance, of making a difference. You know, I use the example sometimes that, you know, as a dad, if I came home and my house was on fire, right? And my house is burning down and I came home and I know I had 3 children and I come running up and I don't see my kids anywhere. And I asked the fireman, I said, where are my kids? He said, oh, no, don't worry, sir. We've got them safe. Everybody's safe. Well, I'm not going in the fire for my Mercedes. I'm not going in the fire even for photographs. I'm not going in the fire for furniture. But let me change the scenario. What if your kid was in the fire? Are you going to stop me? I don't shoot me because I'm going in. And for some of you, you need to get a dream like the kid in the fire. You need to get a dream that is just so intense that you can't not go in. And for some of you, you haven't created that yet. And you know, until you do, then everything seems like a struggle. When we aren't focused on the why of our life, when we're not focused on where we're going and what God's called us to do in that purpose of our life, every pebble in the road looks like a boulder. But when I focus forward and I know, you know, this calling, this idea that it's non-negotiable, you've been called. You know, the squalls are going to come, but that's not going to slow me down. When I focus on the dream, the pebbles or the boulders become pebbles. It doesn't matter what the price is because in our business, guys, we pay retail for success. There's no wholesale. We can't bargain it. And so some of us want to see the easy way out. You know what I found about easy? It doesn't change us enough. Brings struggle, hurt, pain. That's what changes us, right? And so for each of us, we have to come to grips with that. And you know, for us, it's a matter of connection. It's a matter of moving forward. And you guys have incredible leadership on your team. You have people like Christina, and I mean, just following her and knowing and just hearing her share as I have tonight. She loves this business. She loves you guys. She cares, and that's why you love her, and that's why you are part of this team. You know, and that's why you know where you're going and the things that you're going to be able to do. But you know, for each of us, we have been chosen. And I know that sounds really, you know, super spiritual, but I learned that early. We're not like everybody else. We really aren't. Sometimes I think I'm an alien, right? Because, you know, and you talk to people and you try to talk about their dream and you say, well, don't you have a dream? And they really don't. And you might as well be speaking a foreign language because they don't get it. They're just not hearing what you're saying. You know, when I speak to a large audience, I'll always have people come up to me and they'll say, you spoke to me today. I don't know what it was about what but you were speaking to me. You know what that person said to me? They're one that heard. They heard the message. When I speak to an audience, I know there's hundreds of people who are never going to hear my message. But there's those out there like some of you that said, I heard what you said. I got the message. You spoke to me today. And isn't that a blessing that we can be that deliverer of a message in people's lives of hope and opportunity and change? And so we get that chance in the business we're in. But you've got to decide, what's it worth? What's worth it for you? I remember I had a friend and he and I were hiking up in Arizona and we were really steep hike, steep climb. We worked out for a long time to go on this hike. And we went up there and for some reason the road got, the trail got smaller and smaller. And then right before we peaked or went to summit at this mountaintop, there was this big, huge wall. And it was probably 60, I mean, I don't know how high it was, but it was really high. And we were both exhausted. We've been hiking for probably 10 miles, but it was really physical. It's summertime in Arizona. If you've ever been there, it's like 115 degrees. We're gone. There's nothing left that either one of us have. And so we're sitting there at the bottom of this wall going, I want to summit. I got to reach that mountaintop because that was our goal, right? So we're sitting there and I go, we got to go over. He goes, I can't go over. There's no way I can go over. I said, we got to go over. He said, I can't. Well, this guy, I've known him for years. His grandfather, who was the hero of his life, World War II veteran, hero of his life, gave him this gold watch. And he always had it with him. I don't care if he's wearing gym shorts, he never got rid of this watch because it was just a piece for his life that was, you know, so meaningful. So when he wasn't looking, I reached over and I grabbed his watch and I threw it over the wall. And the guy wanted to kill me. I just threw it over the wall. It was like 16 feet and landed on the other side. You know what? We climbed that wall. But it wasn't until he had a reason to go over. It wasn't until he had a reason to go over the wall, because he never would have gone over the wall. But now there was there was something he had to get. And I believe for all of us, we've all hit a wall. Maybe some of you are at that wall right now. Maybe just tonight on this webinar, you just got on and you weren't even going to get on. You got invited and all of a sudden you said, oh, heck, I'll get on this thing. And maybe tonight you're that one standing up against that wall. And I don't know what's on the other side for you. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to take. Is it your children? To be able to, like a guy said to me when I was first got in the industry, Craig, if it's not better for you as a man than it was for your children, you failed as a man. You know, the greatest gift we give our children. I have 3 beautiful children. They're all entrepreneurs. My one son's got a company called Kalo, which is a synthetic ring, and he's only been in business for 4 years, and he's got his business up for sale for $64 million in 4 years, and they're just amazing. My other son owns an e-commerce business online that's doing incredible things. My daughter works full-time at a church and owns her own business. Not to brag about my kids, but the gift I gave my kids. The gift I gave my kids, it wasn't, they lived an affluent life. We lived in a 14,000 square foot, $5 million house. You know what they got? They learned early that the world didn't determine their worth. They learned that early because their mom and dad knew that. And I taught them that from the time they were young, that God determines your worth, not the world. And then secondly, they were never afraid to fail. They never were afraid to go out and risk and take risks in their life. Because they watched parents who took risks. They watched people come to our home. We had 1,000 people for dinner that were thanking us for being transformational in their lives. Their kids grew up with that. So you want to give a gift to your children? And the other thing we gave was a gift to dream big. You know, I have a picture. I have a shadow box. I don't know if you know what those are, but a shadow box is you know, you put pictures in it, and it's glass and it's in a box. I have a picture of my son when he was 5 years old in a New York Yankee baseball uniform. Because that was his dream when he was 5. I'm going to be a Yankee dad. I'm going to play for the New York Yankees. And that box sits on the wall in my office, and it's a picture of him as a little kid in a Yankee uniform. And next to it is his baseball card when he was drafted by the New York Yankees. I get emotional because, you know, here's a kid 5 years old. Here's my dream, Dad. And now he's got a baseball card that Rawlings put out of him when he signed his baseball contract. And I keep that up there for their memory because I don't know what those dreams are for you guys. And I don't know what they are now, but I promise you, if you're willing to change and willing to go through the struggle we have to go through, but we have to understand the business we're in. It's not a business of Shakeology. It's not a business of just fitness. It's a business of transformation. It's a journey daily of being significant in the lives of other people. It's the passion of people's lives and getting the ability and the blessing of being able to fan that. Because so many souls that we sit across from are parched. They're parched because of the past. They're parched because of being broke. They're parched because of relationships. And what we get to do is water. So we're waterers of the soul. That's what we do. We get to show up and just, man, put some fresh water on them. And all of a sudden the soul comes back to life. And then you get to walk that journey alongside of them and speak the truth into their life and be tough with them. You know, give them that tough love. But each one of your children, the blessing you can give them is the fact that their mom is a dreamer. Their dad's a dreamer. That they know that we don't take it the easy way. You know, sure, we're struggling. Sure, we're broke. Sure, we don't have the money we have. But our kids are going to see us win. You know, we say to our children, how many of them we say, don't quit. You got to be the best. Don't quit. Be the best you can be in soccer. And yet, are we? Are we living the best we can be? And what they walk by every day, do they see a parent sitting huddled in a home because you're afraid to speak to your neighbor or a friend or go out and do your business? Do they know that what rank advancement is in Beachbody? They know what a 3-star, 4-star, a lot of them do. What's your rank? What example are we being to our kids? And it starts with us. But we've got to know that many of you right here, you have that DNA, that determined natural ambition that I had when I was sitting in that closet. And fat, obese, worthless. Nobody believed in me. Nobody cared what grades I got. Nobody cared about me. But I knew that God kept saying, no, someday you're going to do something great with your life. And I didn't know what it was going to be. And so I've gotten a chance now for 37 years to meet people like you guys, to hear your stories, and to know if you'll just make a decision, if you'll get the kid in the fire kind of a dream and make a decision to move forward and to do mighty works with your life. And to realize that there's purpose in that. I don't know how many of you read Og Mandino, but here's one of his greatest quotes, and something I've got on my wall and I live by. It says, I'm here for a purpose. And that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth will I apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all. And now listen to this part. I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. You know, I had a dream one time, and it was like I woke up like a cold sweat. And in the dream, it was crazy. It was like a giant, two big screens. And on one screen was the life I had lived. And on the other screen was the life I could have lived. And you know, we all get to make those choices in our life. We all get to make a choice and say, here's the life I'm living. But what is the life I want to live? No, it's not going to be easy. Thank God it's not easy. You know, people are going to make fun of you. People are going to laugh at you. People are not going to believe in your dream. But I learned a long time ago, and I'm going to give you a little wisdom here. Quit trying to convince people of your dream. Quit trying to waste your time convincing them that your dream is worthwhile, because it's your dream. God gave it to you. It belongs to you. So many times we sit down with friends, especially when we first get in the industry, and they're going, well, that doesn't work. And you go, oh, no, it really does. You know, my husband and I were going to be able to make more. Oh, shut up. It's none of their business. That dream belongs to you. That dream belongs to you. So quit trying to justify it. Quit trying to convince people that it's okay that I live this life, that I impact the world, that I make a difference. And stop it, because you are different. And you've all started to realize you're not like everybody else. But be proud of that. Not that we're better. We're just chosen. It's like when I don't know if you're a kid on teams, and they'd always, you know, they'd take, oh, you take this guy, you take this guy. You know, you're the first one picked. You know, in one of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Ephesians. In chapter 2 of Ephesians, God talks about that we are God's workmanship. Now, there's that word in the Greek is a word called poema, Poeima. It's only used one other time in the Bible, and that word poema, it means that you're a masterpiece. I'm not talking about just, oh yeah, God created. No, you're a masterpiece. Your inner being before it was born, knowing what was going to happen, knowing your life, but you are poema. And here's what it means: masterpiece, like whatever, take a point in time in your life. And I know for you women, if you've ever had a baby, it was like, oh my God, you're seeing that child, right? And just the birth and the life coming from your life. And it, you know, it took your breath away. It's like, I'm breathless, give me oxygen, right? Okay, that's how God is with you. You're a master. You take his breath away. It says in the word that your name is on God's lips. See, that's who we are. That's who you are. And whether you believe, you know, spiritual things or not, I'm just telling you that you're poema, that you're a masterpiece, the greatest masterpiece you could ever imagine. You know, that's you. You know, the Michelangelo, I don't know if you've ever seen the carving of David that's in Europe. It's the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And I saw an interview of Michelangelo, or I read an interview of Michelangelo, and they said, well, you know, how did you do this? He said, I just started, he visualized and saw David in the rock, and he just started carving around until David appeared, right? It was like chipping away at this rock, but he knew what that person was going to look like. See, that's God with you. Some of you are those boulders. Some of you gotten a few chips, and some of you a whole bunch more, but that's already designed. And your life's being chipped away at right now, but that's because there's a masterpiece waiting inside. And that's you. That's who you are. So as at birth, God puts a song in our lives and a song in our hearts. And you know what he says? Sing it. Just be willing to sing it. Sing that song. The one you know what it is. You know, tonight, if I had a chance to talk to every one of you, I know there's been unbelievable pain in your life and things that you wouldn't want anybody to even know about. But see, God knew about it. And you know what? You're that poema. And so there's a song to sing. And each one of you are called to do that. Not live a life of regret, but a life of struggle. So that you could sing that song. And some of you it's like that you've gotten a few courses, but you've kind of stopped singing because you got frustrated and you're tired and your life's kicking your butt. You know, you lost faith in the business. All those struggles we all go through. And you know what? That's what champions do. They go through that. We're not exempt. I say, you know, when a squall comes, you know, raise your sail. Don't go to a safe harbor. When the squall comes, raise your sail and just let it blow you to where it is that you need to go. I'm going to close by telling you one of my favorite stories. Florence Lidauer was a really good friend of mine. She wrote a book called Personality Plus, really written like 30-some books. And she was like a mentor in my life. I used to bring her in to work with my team and stuff. She's in her late 80s now, and incredible woman, impacted the lives of so many people. So she came and spoke to my group years and years ago. And then afterwards, we were sitting at a table, and she told me this story. Because she had talked in her talk about the song inside of you, and you got to sing it. Don't die with the song inside of you. And she said, Craig, I got to tell you a story. And she told me about her mother-in-law, who she was married to a guy named Fred, who's passed away now, her husband of many years. She madly in love with him. And his mom. And she said, I went over to visit her one day, and she said, hold on, Florence, I want to show you something. And she went and she got this big trunk, and she brought it out, and she pulled out a scrapbook, old scrapbook, and she opened it up. And Florence said, I looked inside this scrapbook, and there were pictures of my mother-in-law on stage with her mouth like she was singing. And she said, Mom, what is this? And she said, Florence, I never told you, but I used to sing opera. Because you sing opera. You never told me that. And she said, I know, Florence. She said, what happened, Mom? So, well, in high school, I was in these plays and a little bit in college. And then, life kind of got me down, and I started struggling through a lot of stuff. And, Freddie was born, and, my life just changed. And so she said it was just kind of a memory. And it wasn't about 2 years later after that experience and sharing that with her that her mom got cancer, her mother-in-law. She was in the last days of her life, and she had hospice, and she was at a hospital with this wonderful Filipino lady. And Florence said, I used to go visit her, and she goes, I knew she was just days of dying. And so I went to visit her this one day, and she goes, how's Mom doing? She said, well, she's weak. She's tired. I don't know how much time she has, Florence. So Florence went in and spent a little time with her and said, I'm gonna leave for a couple hours and I'll be back. So she left, and when she got back, she walked in, and the Filipino lady said, Florence, Mom is gone. And so Florence she felt bad that she hadn't been there for the last breath, but she said, what happened? What happened in the last few minutes? She said, Florence, it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. She said, I went in and I gave her dinner, and she was laying back in bed with her eyes closed, and I knew she was starting to fail. And she said, I gave her dinner, I came back in, and she hadn't eaten anything, so I took it out. She said, Florence, I was standing in the kitchen, and she said, I heard this operatic voice. She said, it was the most incredible thing I'd ever heard. And she said, it was coming out of the bedroom. And she said, I walked into the bedroom, and I looked, and she had laid her head back down, and she was gone. And that's when Florence said, don't go to the grave with a song inside of it. Because see, this woman at her weakest moment went back to that point of the passion and the dream of her life. And she laid up in a bed at her weakest moment, and she sang opera for maybe 30 seconds because that song is never going to leave. So I challenge some of you tonight. Realize what you've been called to do. Realize who you are and realize whose you are. And if you do that, and you quit thinking about all the struggles of how do I do this and how do I do that, and you embrace the whole idea that it's not about me anymore. I'm going to build my business not about me ever again. I'm going to be about others. And you'll get the blessing that Christina can get. Mindy Horde, who's one of my champion friends that I remember when I was working with Beachbody. And you'll be able to sit in an audience someday and have someone stand on the stage and just look at you and say, thank you. And you'll have a box of Kleenex and you'll be sobbing because you got to be on the journey, which was the greatest prize. Remember this, guys, that the price is the prize. The price is the prize. It's not what you own. It's not all the things you have, but the price is the prize. Hey, God bless you guys. Thanks for letting me share.
Wow. Craig, just reading the chat and even seeing the panelists in tears, we cannot, and you in tears, we really cannot thank you enough for the gift that you've given us. You know that in conversations leading up to this call, we talked about this missing piece right now within the network, and this was it. This is the missing piece. Getting back to how when Becky and I became coaches, and then, you know, Monica, Mindy, and Amy coming on board and starting our organization, we would cry at stories. We would, there was this emotional connection to the business that was impenetrable. And somehow, somewhere, that kind of got lost. And it's not gone completely, but it got a little bit lost. And we wanted to share that with our new coaches, our new leaders that are on this call. And it was perfect. I don't want to, I mean, I have 2 pages of notes that are nuggets that will last a lifetime in our Beachbody career. So I can't thank you enough. Becky, did you want to say something?
Craig, thank you so much. That completely brought me right back to Atlantis.
Yeah.
Like, amazing. I feel, again, and I feel like you were speaking directly to me. Thank you. I just don't have nothing to say. I'm mind blown. You're amazing. You're special. Thank you for gracing us tonight.
Yeah.
With those words. Beautiful.
Thanks for inviting me, guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. Wow. So just to close, because it has been a long night and a long, incredibly emotionally charged night that I think we have to all absorb and then set into action tomorrow by touching people's lives and being that significance in other people's lives. I think that was like a kind of a great theme for us moving forward, is being significant in others' lives, is to thank the panelists and those that shared their stories tonight. Thank you for being so open, vulnerable, and honest about your journeys to this point. Robin, Suzanne, Ada, and Jamie, thank you for saying yes to this opportunity and then, you know, owning it and being significant in others' lives. And thank you to the coaches that were brave enough to introduce you to Beachbody. So you guys, I am going to end the recording. Love you guys. Love Diesel Nation. Love everybody that's on this call. You guys take the information and use it, please. A lot of times we have calls like this that touch your soul, that rock your life, that you want to climb out of your skin and run through a wall. But then tomorrow or the day after, it starts to fade. Don't let it fade. You don't let it fade by figuring out what that powerful why is and acting on it every single day. So I love you. We'll see you guys later. I will post a recording that's probably going to take 75 hours to upload, but I will see you guys later. Bye.